News. ESPN's Jeff Passan reports Philadelphia's Bryce Harper got clearance after visiting with a doctor today. He'll return from Tommy John surgery tomorrow against the Dodgers. 76ers center Joel Embiid worked out after the morning shoot-around. There's been improvement with his sprained knee, but ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting it's unlikely he plays in Game 1 of the second-round NBA playoff series against the Celtics tonight. If Embiid can't play, Paul Reed likely takes his place in the lineup. Reed, Jalen McDaniels, P.J. Tucker will be key for the Sixers to defend Boston's size, notes ESPN's Monica McNutt.
Those are some of their more versatile defenders, in particular Tucker and McDaniel. But McDaniel oftentimes is defending guards. And so it's going to be interesting for the Sixers, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, in my mind. Offense, if they get hot from behind the three-point line or even in the mid-range, they could be okay. But defensively is where you're going to miss Joel Embiid a ton.
Two of the best words in sports, Game 7, Devils and Rangers finish off the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. Game 7, 8 Eastern, ESPN TV.
If you need to hire, then you need Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform helps you schedule and conduct video interviews all in one place. Finding your next great hire has never been more streamlined. Get hiring at Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Hope you had an awesome weekend. We are locked, loaded, a ton to do. We'll recap the entirety of the NFL draft from the Saints perspective, the LSU perspective. The transfer portal window, the spring portal window for football is now closed. We'll get to that as well. But Tiger Baseball sweeps Alabama over the weekend, consecutive SEC series sweeps. And we kick off the show today with Coach Jay, the head man over at LSU, Jay Johnson, jumping aboard with us as we push off from the dock. Coach, it's a pleasure. Congrats on another great weekend. We appreciate the time. How are you?
Thank you. Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure. Coach, I want to start, if you do, a lot of people have asked me, I'll ask you if you have an update. Matt Gassetti, the catcher from Bama, had a really scary situation yesterday. Do you have any update on him from after the game?
Yeah, I talked to Coach Bohannon last night after the game, and what he had been relayed is he was going to be okay. All his vital stuff was good. They needed to just kind of make sure they were well in the clear before he was going to leave Baton Rouge. So I don't think he went back with them on the bus, but I do know his family was here and with him, and it sounded like we had good news there.
Good. Fantastic to hear. I got a lot of ground I want to cover. You've now won 7 consecutive SEC games. You've swept back-to-back weekends. And ask you kind of a broad question. I think I know your answer, but like, are you playing, or do you think you have played your best baseball yet as a team?
I think at times. I think when you look at the offense, there's been several games along the way where you go, that's how you play offensive baseball at a really high level. And so that's shown up all the time. Early on in the season, we played very good defense, and there's been good starting pitching. Obviously, in my opinion, we have the best Friday guy in the country with Paul Skeen, and he gets you off to a good start and shortens the game for the bullpen, and we've had some really good bullpen performances. To say the pitching, defense, offense has all fired all at one time, we'll see. And I'm looking forward to continually improving, and that's been a thing or a message with the team throughout the season is we want to win as many games as we can, but we want to improve as we're going. And I think we're doing that. Some of the personnel has been shaken up a little bit, obviously, because of injuries, but it hasn't affected the result. And I think that speaks to the depth of the team and the character of the team and how much they care about winning and each other.
Coach, I want to ask you about Paul Skeens. He has spoiled us rotten. Friday, he went 6 innings, 1 run on 5 hits, struck out 9, didn't walk anybody. And you're like, well, it wasn't even his best outing. I mean, he has just wrecked our expectations of what a Friday night guy should be. He's just a joy to watch. But I do want to ask, we talked last week with Ben McDonald, and he's probably the best comp as far as just like a big, tall, strong-armed righty. And I remember talking to Ben about his 1989 season. He said around inning like 120 is when he kind of started to feel some fatigue. Paul's at 65 in a third innings pitch. I'm curious how you manage, or do you even consider workload and all that stuff as you try to prepare for what we all hope is a run into deep June?
Absolutely. I think there was only one positive thing about the Thunder and Lightning and shortened outing at South Carolina was he only threw like 47 pitches. And I could be off by 1 or 2 there, but it almost served as like a week off. And so that was one thing that, I thought he would be strong the next few outings after that because he's in such good shape. He trains at such a high level. He recovers really, really well. We eliminated the two-way player thing from him for his own good. So now everything is geared towards Friday night or Thursday night, whenever he's going. And I think he's good. I think I've made some smaller decisions along the way. Like he definitely could have gone back out for the 7th inning on Friday. But at 107 pitches, I'm mindful and aware we want him strong as we're going down the stretch here. If we finish well, in these last 3 weekends, it might give us some flexibility of how we use them in the SEC tournament. That's way down the line at this point in time, so I'm not even really prepared to go there as far as how we'll do that. But I pay attention to it, and as a college coach, I think it is a part of my job when you have a player of that caliber that's about to put $8 million in his pocket here pretty soon that we take care of him. And Paul knows that every decision we make is in his best interest.
Jay Johnson's our guest. So on the other side of that is a guy you're ramping up, and that's Javen Coleman. You had to be thrilled with his outing on Saturday. So he's gone in 3 outings, 16 pitches, 29 pitches, 41 pitches. Do you get to a point where you just completely take the shackles off and let him go?
Well, you got to build to that, and we're not there yet. It was great to get him back against ULL on that midweek, and that was going to be 1 inning, and he wasn't going to go over 25 pitches. And then when we went to Ole Miss, I brought him in, and we talked about, hey, how we're going to build this thing up. We're not going to use you twice in a week. We're going to build the count, and we got to 30 the next week in that Ole Miss game, which I thought was a big, big accomplishment because it was twice in the week. That was going to be the shortest rest he was going to have. And then we were going to get him to 40 to 50, in this outing. I didn't feel good about running him back out there because it was a long inning on offense when he completed his last inning. So it's like, hey, 41, we kind of hit this bar. Now we're at this point where we could use him in kind of different ways, that 3-inning close, that type of deal, or continue to extend him to where, you could get to the point where he could start. We've just trying to do this in a way that's going to allow us the flexibility to allow him to recover, allow him to be at his best once a week, and then give us the opportunity to use him where our team needs him, whether that's to finish an important win, start, or extend in the middle of the game in a tipping point part of the game, which is what he did on Saturday night, and he did a great job.
Yeah, what a luxury. A couple more for you. Jay Johnson is our guest here. Tigers sweep Alabama over the weekend. Tigers at 15-5 in league play, leading the West. I did want to ask about, I'm curious your thoughts, and maybe this is something, Coach, that when the season's over, we'll be able to look back in hindsight and have a deeper convo, but I just want to talk about like offense in the game of college baseball, because there's this feeling like you see a game like yesterday, 13-11, or how the weekend went, and maybe some fans who watch their team and don't watch the game as a whole think that that's isolated in a vacuum, but we are absolutely seeing a power surge and an influx of offense throughout college baseball. Are we reverting to what college baseball was pre-say 2011 when the bat said? I mean, is that something that you all and your colleagues are talking about, like this offensive surge throughout the country right now?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. I think when they adjusted the bats back in 2011 to the BB core, and then really tailored that back, it went too far.
Yeah.
Like it went way too far the other direction, and it kind of made college baseball a little bit hard to watch. I think there was a 2 or 3 year period where runs were really at a premium in the College World Series, and it was not a very fan-friendly game. And then I think it was about 2015, it seems like whether it was an adjustment in the baseballs or maybe they, did something different with the bats, it's a little bit now in between, what it was, back in the 90s or Gorilla Ball LSU days, and between that really, bad BB Core bat deal.
Yeah.
So I think that contributes to it. I think maybe the balls are a little hotter, those types of things. But I also think players are stronger now than they've ever been with strength and conditioning. I think, now being in the SEC where there's the most talent of any conference in college baseball, you really see it where, you don't always, even at this level, get those high-end pitchers. They're signing out of high school, the ones that are truly dominant. There seems to be an uptick in injuries. So all of this stuff is starting to gear back towards the COVID deal. That was a lot of missed game opportunity for a lot of pitchers. And so where you have to really throw strikes, command the baseball, change speeds, and pitch to win, I don't know. Those are the guys that are pitching in college baseball right now, and losing that experience going into it, I think is part of it as well.
Yeah. Maybe that's a deeper convo, obviously, but I think it's a good as explanation as any. Coach, so it's nice to finally get a breather in the league, right? You get to just go take on Auburn, who just took 2 out of 3 at South Carolina. No biggie, right?
Yeah, I tell you what, this none of these series are any different at all. Like whether you're playing Team 1 or Team 14 in the standings, they are all the same, and our players know that. They respect kind of the process we have laid out to win, and that's what I appreciate about this team more than anything else. The talent is undeniable when you look at Dylan or Tommy or Paul or Trey or all of these guys that are making such a huge contribution, but the consistency and how they show up every day prepared to win is pretty remarkable, and it allows that talent to come out, and we're going to have to continue to approach the game that way because it's not getting any easier from this point forward.
15-5 in the league, 35-8 overall, have not lost a weekend yet. It is remarkable what you all have accomplished so far this year, but still plenty to do. Jay Johnson, we always appreciate a couple of minutes, Coach. Thank you.
You got it. Have a great day.
All right, man. Be well. I put a tweet out. We'll come back to this a little later, but I put a tweet out yesterday after LSU beat Alabama, and it was just a really interesting kind of test case as far as the psychology of the fan base. And I tweeted, today LSU allowed 11 runs on 10 hits, walked 7, hit 3, committed 4 errors, and won 13-11. And the general feeling from fans, as I read through the comments, were this isn't sustainable. The offense has to do everything. The pitching stinks. It was just boom, boom, boom negativity. I think what is lost on many is how impressive it is to find a way to win on any given day, regardless of the circumstance. Sometimes it's Paul Skeen shoving and you have to win a game 4-3. Sometimes you commit. So there's some folly in the outfield, and you commit errors, and you're against a good hitting team, and you're deep in your pen. You got to win 13-11. Maybe it's you got to have Hayden Travinski hit a go ahead homer in the top of the ninth. I mean, it's just the nature of the game, man. It's why you love baseball, and it's the consistency of literally not losing a single weekend is remarkable. I mean, South Carolina just lost a home weekend to Auburn. Vanderbilt got swept at home by Tennessee, got blown out. LSU hadn't lost a weekend. I mean, we are spoiled, bleeping rotten with this team right now. But they're fun to watch. Okay, it's after further review. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back. NFL draft was this weekend. We'll look at it from the Saints' perspective first. Saints made 7 picks. I'll give you my take on it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by New Orleans Flooring. Get to NOLAflooring.com, or better yet, get by either of the New Orleans flooring locations. As a matter of fact, Terrio texted me over the weekend. He said, man, we just placed a monster order with your guys over at New Orleans Flooring. Listen, I say it all the time, buy where the pros buy. There's a reason why contractors and remodelers and home builders and flippers and investors, all remediation companies, all go to New Orleans Flooring, because it's all about the bottom line. Where can I go to get materials the cheapest so I can make more of a profit? Well, wouldn't that be the same for you if you're a homeowner and you're doing a project at your house? maybe you're replacing carpet or tile, or you want wood or laminate, why wouldn't you go where you can get the same products as everyone else at a 40, 50, 60% discount? Because they keep it all in stock. They cut out the middleman. It's New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, the Metairie location and then Airline Highway in Prairieville. Of course, always online at nolaflooring.com. That's nolaflooring.com. Buy where the pros buy. New Orleans Flooring.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
What's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We feel good about what we were able to accomplish over the last 3 days. We felt like we had a lot of quality players that fit what we're looking for, and they filled some of the needs that we had on the team.
That is Dennis Allen. Saints with a successful 3 days. On this Monday after the draft, everyone always pipes up and pumps out their draft grade rankings. I haven't looked at a single one of them. I haven't looked at Kuiper or McShay or any of the guys at NFL Network or CBS or Fox or anybody else, any blogger that puts out his draft grade or her draft grade. Because quite honestly, I don't care what any of them say is the Saints draft grade. Nothing any of them say is going to affect my opinion on how the Saints did over those 3 days. If you go back with me into the Wayback Machine, not that far way back, but whenever the New Orleans Saints signed Derek Carr, it took a lot of the drama out of this draft, didn't it? Because there was no more question of, are the Saints going to try to move up to take Anthony Richardson? We were having those convos. And when they signed Carr, that was off the board. So the only question became, do they stick at 29 or is there someone they really covet they move up to get? And what I said, and I was consistent leading into the draft, and so today after the draft, I'm not going to waver at all. So if they get a defensive tackle in round 1, I'm good with anything else they do. Everything I say is recorded. You can go find it if you want it. Because there were enough needs on this team that if they found value at those positions throughout the draft, I was going to be good with it. They were going to be aggressive, move up. They had 8 draft picks. They weren't going to select 8 players because 8 guys aren't going to make this team. So if they were someone they were bullish about, they wanted to go get them, and they did that by and large, and I love what the Saints did. So let's run through it. Muse, hit me with a little draft recap music, if we could. I knew you were going to go with that little ditty. You like that one, huh? Is that your favorite one?
It's pretty good. It's consistent. It's always there. You just like it.
You do like it a lot. So on Friday, we kind of recapped the selection of Brian Brzee out of Clemson. I love it. The former number 1 overall player in the country, a big 6'5", 300-pound interior blow-up-the-launch pad defensive lineman who can also rush the passer, but for some injuries would have been a top 10 prospect overall in this draft. I feel like, but for the injuries off the field stuff, you could have been talking about a Jalen Carter-type prospect. I absolutely love the Saints getting Brian Brzee in round 1. If you want my full reaction to that, you can go back to Friday's After Further Review YouTube channel and get that full recap. So going in from Thursday, going into Friday, we knew the Saints had a couple of picks, one in round 2, one in round 3, and they kept both of them and started with this.
With the 40th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Isaiah Foskey, defensive end, Notre Dame.
Isaiah Foskey is Notre Dame's all-time sack leader. He broke the record set by Justin Tuck. He was a consensus All-American. He's 6'5", 265, ran a 4.58 40. Do you realize Isaiah Foskey at 6'5", 265, ran a faster 40 time than Kayshon Boutte? Yes, give me that freak show coming off the edge. Here was Foskey on the Saints.
I met with them during the pro day, doing a lot of film work with them. Met them at the combine, talked with them a bunch, did a whole bunch of Zoom meetings with them. So this is a team I talked to so much, fell in love with them, loved the coaches, started talking to them a lot. And just the vibe of the whole team is New Orleans. And this is like the team I wanted to go to. I kept telling everybody, I want to go to this team. This is the team I want to go to.
We love Cam Jordan. He's an all-time great Saint, but he's aging. And on the other end, you let Marcus Davenport walk. Don't know what you're getting with Peyton Turner, Carl Granderson, Tano Passanio. Give me this dude. I'm pumped about getting Foskey at 40. We know they needed a running back. That was another absolute must in this draft, and they pulled the trigger in round 3.
With the 71st pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Kendre Miller, running back, TCU.
5'11", 220, strong and physical enough to go between the tackles, athletic enough to get outside and be a game breaker, was awesome in that TCU offense, was not a great pass catcher. As a freshman, caught 1 pass, 12 receptions as a sophomore, 16 receptions this past year as a junior. I'm going to tell you the thing that I love most about Kendre Miller. He's 20 years old. With running backs, we talk about it all the time. What's the shelf life? How much tread on the tires? And sometimes you see these backs in college that have 200 carries, 3 consecutive seasons, and they have been beaten up, chewed up, spit out, and sent off to the league already battered and broken. Kendre Miller is 20 years old. He had 54 attempts as a freshman, 83 as a sophomore, and this past year carried the ball 224 times. You want to talk about tread on the tire? It's Kendre Miller. He's really had 1 season where he was a workhorse. He can't even buy a hand grenade in the French Quarter yet legally. And you know what? He's also coming for Alvin Kamara.
You know, Alvin, he's a great receiving back. You know me,
I'm just like, versatile. I'm really, ground and pound out of backfield. So like we got two of the same, attributes. So I really feel very confident, what me and him do.
I love it. The Saints have been their best when they've had the Thunder Lightning back combo, and they got it here as well. So you go into day 3 of the draft, and the Saints didn't waste any time. Before day 3 started, the Saints traded up to the very first pick of round 4.
With the 103rd pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Nick Saldiveri as guard.
Guard out of Old Dominion, Nick Saldiveri. Nick, going into this draft, if you had asked me who is Nick Saldiveri, I'd have been like, is that one of my long-lost relatives from the old country? Would have had no idea. But I also don't care. I don't care. We have seen this organization scout the lower levels of football, even on the offensive line, and hit. If you want to talk about Trevor Penning a year ago from Northern Iowa, if you want to go back and look at guys like Jermon Bushrod coming from Towson, if you want to look at if it was Jari Evans from Bloomsburg, you want to talk about Teron Armstead from Pine Bluff, the Saints know what they are looking for in offensive linemen, and if they felt strongly enough about Nick Saldiveri to go get him, I'm good with it. And, by the way, their hunch was correct because after they took Saldiveri, there was a run on interior linemen. After the Saints took Nick Saldiveri, 6 of the next 19 picks were offensive guards. The run came, and the Saints beat the run and got the guy they wanted. And by the way, here was Nick Saldiveri talking about his versatility.
I'm an offensive lineman at the end of the day. I'm not in one box. I don't play tackle, guard, center. Like, I play it all. And I take pride in that. I take pride in having the ability to do that because it's not easy. Everybody can't do that. So I take pride in it for sure. I think I have a lot of strong points in my game, like my feet, my anchor strength, my hands, and versatility is kind of just one focal point that kind of separates me from everybody else.
I love the versatility. Consider this. Saints did not pick up Cesar Ruiz's 5th-year option. This is very likely Andrus Pete's last year in New Orleans. You just drafted a guy that could be the replacement for either one of those guys in 2024, and you got the guy you wanted, but they weren't done in round 4.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have traded the 127th pick to the New Orleans Saints. With the 127th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints have selected Jake Haener, quarterback, Fresno State.
Haener is essentially a Drew Brees clone. He wore number 9 for Drew Brees. He's a sub-6-foot quarterback who put up great statistics, who's a student of the game. All the things that you say when you describe Brees, that's Jake Haener as well. I'm not saying he's going to have a Hall of Fame career, but you got a guy who's now drafted by the team he grew up wanting to play for.
It's so surreal. I can't even put it into words right now. I just got off the phone with Derek and just so excited to learn from him. And I can't even put it into words. How many times does, an opportunity like this happen? And, you get to learn from an all-time great at the same school you played at, playing, in the same NFL team. And I'm just really speechless.
I'm mostly excited because one pick later, Stetson Bennett went to the Rams. And as we had previously talked about, had the Saints drafted Stetson Bennett, I was going to have to rescind my Saints fandom until they cut him after camp because he's going to get cut. He's not going to make an NFL team. But I am just so glad the Saints validated my feeling on Stetson Bennett and chose Jake Haener instead of Stetson Bennett. So good luck to Jake Haener, whatever may come of his NFL career. Hopefully it's a long, illustrious career in New Orleans. The Saints didn't have a 5th-round pick, but they did get back on the board in round 6.
With the 146th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Jordan Howden, defensive back, Minnesota.
My bad. Howden was a 5th-round pick out of Minnesota, and I'm good with it. He was a 5-year contributor. He was the team captain, made 49 starts, so he was one of the super seniors who took advantage of the COVID year. He could play safety. He could play nickel. He could play dime. Think P.J. Williams. Versatile defensive back who can play anywhere in your secondary that you need him. Probably not on the outside unless if you're in a pinch. But Got an aging Tyrann Mathieu at safety. You traded away Chauncey Gardner-Johnson last year. P.J. Williams is getting long in the tooth. That mold of guy who can also play special teams for you, and a great leader. The Saints have always valued locker room chemistry, camaraderie. They want team guys that are bought in. Locker room culture matters. You got a guy that was a team captain here, a fifth-year player from the Big Ten up there at Minnesota. I like what they did. The Saints have one more pick that they made, and that was A.T. Perry. However, we do not have the announcement of A.T. Perry being selected. But of all the draft picks, now look, I'm pumped about Brian Brzee and Isaiah Foskey at the top. I love what they did up and down the board. If you said what's the one spot where they got an absolute steal, thief in the freaking night steal, it's A.T. Perry. Listen to A.T. Perry talk about the tweet he made saying the Saints would not regret this decision.
I was expecting to go higher, but it was some minor stuff that got in the way of that. So, but hey, I'm here now. I'm happy that you guys took me, and I hope it make a big impact on the field. So,
I don't know what the minor stuff is. Here's what I know. For some odd reason, watched a lot of Wake Forest, mainly because their offense was really good. They had a quarterback a lot of people were aware of, and they played in a lot of high-scoring games. The Wake Forest game against North Carolina was bonkers. The one they played a few years ago against Army, where it was like 70-57. Wake Forest had a huge offense. And the best receiver on that team the last 2 years was A.T. Perry. Almost 6'4", 200 pounds, ran a 4.47 40, which is good for that size, and had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons at Wake Forest playing in that offense, catching balls from Sam Hartman where he was his favorite target. I don't know how or why A.T. Perry was on the board in round 6. Everybody's draft board looks different. You never know what people find with the medical or interviews or this or that, whatever. All I know is that dude is huge. He can run. He is certainly got the skins on the wall. And the fact that you snagged A.T. Perry in round 6 is amazing to me. And maybe, just maybe, this means that we could finally be done with the Traquan Smith era once and for all. You didn't think I was going to get through talking about a receiver without throwing a barb at Traquan, did you, Muse? Of course I was going to get me a Traquan barb in there.
Do we have to send him back to the island after this?
Well, no. I wish we'd have given him a one-way ticket to the island years ago. The Island Misfit Toys. Saints make 7 draft picks. I love what they did in this draft. Are they all going to hit? No. That's not how the draft works. But when you look at what they needed, who they got, the value and their thought process behind the decisions they made, hit. I love what the Saints did with this draft class. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We'll go around the SEC when we come back. A ton to get to in 30 minutes. The transfer portal window has closed, and obviously one gigantic piece of news for LSU is Garrett Nussmeier staying. We're going to talk about that coming up in 30 minutes. Stick around.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You know what to do. If you've been in an accident, it's not your fault. If you've been injured, get representation. Don't go it alone. Get Gordon and get it done. Call 888-8888, 888-8888, or go to getgordon.com. Yes, Gordon has helped injured people in our state for 30 years. But because he has had so much success and been given so much, I've gotten to know Gordon and know on his heart he loves to give back. And it's a big part of why he has the Gordon Gives arm of the firm, which is the charitable arm. And you see it around the holidays when they give away bikes. Right now, it's almost graduation season. So if you're a high school graduate and you're going to be going to school, to college, Gordon's giving away 12 free laptops. Log on to gordonsgrads.com. That's gordonsgrads.com. Maybe it's you, maybe it's your son or daughter. Have them log on to gordonsgrads.com to learn how they can win a free laptop. Get Gordon and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
All right, let's say ah.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
2023 Dreams Come True Radiothon is in the books, and we have our raffle winners for 2023.
Yeah.
The trip for two to the CMA Festival in Nashville, that goes to Carolyn Taylor. Congrats, Carolyn. LSU autographed merch pack. Justin Jefferson signed helmet. Jefferson and Jamar Chase framed wall print. That goes to Andrew McNichol. LSU autographed merch pack from the Nola brothers. A mini bat, ball, and picture. Hobie Niederhofer. Concert ticket package. 5 shows. Includes Thomas Rhett, Zach Bryan, Guns N' Roses, and more. That goes to Grant and Miller. And a CMA Award signed guitar. Cody Johnson, Jelly Roll, Kelsey Ballerini, Parker McCullum, many more. That goes to Cindy Rue.
A lady.
A lady.
You remember the Ladies Man skit?
On SNL?
Yeah. When a lady would call him and say, ooh, a lady. Tim Meadows. Great Tim Meadows. All right, we're glad to have you aboard with us here. Draft in the rearview mirror. Would love to get your thoughts. You can always email us, tweet us, jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, text 225-396-4400, 396-4400. If you missed it, we led the show today with Jay Johnson, was good enough to jump aboard with us. Jay Johnson show tonight, correct? Eagle 98.1. In Baton Rouge, 6 o'clock. Yeah, they moved it up, so 6 o'clock if you want to catch Coach Jay on his coach's show tonight. All right, it's after further review. We'll go around the SEC in just a quick second. I love what the Saints did in the draft. We just kind of went through all of it. I do also want to take some time. We'll go through some of the undrafted free agents as well. 6 LSU Tigers selected in the draft. Congrats to all of them. One of the cool stories, of course, is with both Jay Ward and Jaquelin Roy. Going to Minnesota, they reunite with former LSU defensive coordinator Durante Jones. So Jay Ward, of course, who as a defensive back, that was Durante Jones's position that he coached as well. So no doubt Durante had a little bit to say about those selections, but congrats to those guys. One of the cool. It's always funny when you see some of the cool stories around the draft, like Jaquelin Roy shared via social media how when he played in youth league in Baton Rouge, like as a youth football player, his team was the Baton Rouge Vikings. So now he's drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. So some of those things tie together. We talked about Jake Haener wearing number 9 for Drew Brees, being a Drew Brees fan as a smaller quarterback. It's always the draft provides and presents a lot of those really cool human interest stories, almost like it's not a what and what, but it's almost like the Olympics, how not many people actually care about the sports. Like you're not deeply invested in like swimming or skeet shooting or whatever some of the Olympics sports are. It's more about telling these people's stories and being invested in the people. So that part of the draft is always pretty cool to watch it unfold. So congrats to everyone who's drafted, and for those that weren't, go make the most of your opportunity. Rookie mini camps will be around the bend, and we'll look forward to seeing how these roster constructions start happening. NFL has leaked that they are planning on releasing the full NFL schedule a week from Thursday. So we always say it's not just who you play, but when and where you play, and we'll have a better idea about the Saints coming up next week. All right, it's After Further Review. Brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. You can always call them at 924-2020. 924-2020. You want to see 2020? Call 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com for the Williamson Eye Center. WilliamsonEye.com. Eye care, eyewear, eye surgery. You want to have your annual eye exam? You could do that at the Williamson Eye Center. Any of their locations, including the newest location there in Lutcher. You could always buy your contacts and glasses at the Williamson Eye Center at their vision centers. Or if you want to live your life without contacts or glasses, there is a way they can make it happen. They did it for me like they've done for so many. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. Okay, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Mississippi State has fired pitching coach Scott Foxhall. Of course, after winning the national championship 2 years ago, last year, Mississippi State had the SEC worst 6.07 ERA. So far in 2023, Mississippi State has the SEC's worst ERA at 6.62. State has had 11 pitchers drafted since Foxhall has been the pitching coach there. Just not good enough, as Chris Lemonis has fired as pitching coach.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas added Cincinnati linebacker Jaheim Thomas via the transfer portal. 6'4", 245. He's the 14th scholarship transfer addition ahead of this season for the Hogs. He's a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. Chose the Bearcats over LSU, Bama, Michigan State, Florida State, Georgia, Iowa, a whole bunch of others. He was a 3-star prospect, now headed to Arkansas.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Offensive tackle DeAndre Buford has entered the transfer portal. Played in 13 games with 2 starts over the past 3 years for Mark Stoops and the Wildcats. He was the number 31 offensive tackle in the country when he was coming out of high school. He is the 5th Wildcat to enter the portal since the end of spring practice.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Defensive back Kendre Miller played in 1 game as a freshman this past season. As one of the final entries into the transfer portal as that window closed on Sunday. 3-star prospect in the 2022 class, has 4 seasons of eligibility remaining.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
And Rashad Marshall is back with the Ole Miss Rebels as a commitment again, now for the 3rd time. He's a 6'9" center who once committed to former Ole Miss head coach Kermit Davis and now twice to Chris Beard. He's a 4-star prospect, the nation's number 14 center. The nation's number 14 center, and he was a top 10 player out of the state of Arkansas. Initially requested his release from his national letter of intent following the firing of Kermit Davis, but now is back on board with Chris Beard and the Rebs. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them, GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com. For Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. That's what you get at Gulf Coast Office Products. Official office equipment provider of the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, the LSU Tigers, and the ULL Raging Cajuns. No matter the size of your business, they've got the technology you need. The interactive whiteboards, copier, scan, fax, all-in-ones. They got it at Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you aboard with us here on a Monday edition presented by Relief Windows. Man, a ton to get to. We did recap a little bit. We recapped the Saints draft just a bit ago, but something else that's happened since the weekend is the Saints declined Cesar Ruiz's fifth-year option. So as we move into hour number 2, I'll tell you, we're 15 minutes from right now, we're talking about Garrett Nussmeier staying with LSU, what that means for the future of the quarterback position. And then in 30 minutes, we're going to talk about the Saints not picking up Cesar Ruiz's fifth-year option, what that means for him, the future of the offensive line, all that stuff. So we're getting into that coming up next hour. And we'll continue our SEC spring recaps next hour as well. We'll stop in Oxford and visit with our buddy Neal McCready from Rebel Grove. So, God, we just got a ton to do. We fit a couple of guests in there with Neal and with Jay Johnson open the show, but mostly it's going to be a lot of me talking. But you can always interact, and you're welcome to do so. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
Love telling you about Clegg's Nursery, especially when we are in beautiful spring weather like we are right now. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Segan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. I tell you every day, buy local, shop local. It's Clegg's Nursery. Listen, greenhouses full of gorgeous, colorful flowers ready to beautify your outdoor spaces, but there's so much more. They're partnered with True Value Hardware Store. So anything you'd find at a hardware store, you'll also find at Clegg's Nursery. If you got ants or other critters, mosquitoes, the Spartan Mosquito Eradicator. I hung mine up literally yesterday. You want to kill mosquitoes 90 days at a time affordably? Spartan Mosquito Eradicator. Get it at Clegg's Nursery. You want garden decor like garden statues or garden flags or outdoor mats. They've got all that for you as well at Clegg's Nursery. Get on by and see our friends. They've been helping Baton Rouge for more than 60 years. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Following a crime increase in the Baton Rouge area, Council President Lamont Cole says he's been in touch with the community and having regular talks with police about increasing presence in concentrated areas with crime. It follows shootings a block apart within days and the calls from the community to get something done. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like this Wall Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the after further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number one. I might have to have a more keen interest in the fall in Buffalo Bills games, Muse. If we're going to...
Think they're going to make a run?
I don't really care if they make a run. But for the same reason why I felt like we had to adopt a player on the Brooklyn Cyclones.
Yeah.
So that way we could play the Cyclone song during Tigers in the Pros,
Yeah.
Baby Bash.
Baby Bash.
As it were.
It's total banger.
The Buffalo Bills have added a running back to join former second-round pick James Cook.
Oh, they added an LSU undrafted free agent?
Nope.
Oh.
They also signed Damian Harris this offseason. They've got Nyheim Hines as well coming back. He was acquired before the trade deadline last year. But this weekend they added another veteran running back.
Who?
Latavius Murray.
Murray, present.
I'm so happy.
It won't die. It goes on forever.
He's the gift that keeps on giving. 33 years old. By the way, I bet you didn't know this. Latavius Murray is a Syracuse native. I fooled myself on that one.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Syracuse native.
I didn't know that. You're right.
Earned his MBA from Syracuse back in 2020.
Oh, good for Latavius Murray.
How about that?
Murray, present.
It's a guy who, from upstate New York, obviously we know played for the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then the Saints acquired him.
Yeah. A couple different times.
He was gone. Then he was back again.
Yeah.
He was gone. And then he was actually playing pretty well last year. And the Broncos signed Latavius Murray off the Saints practice squad. I mean, big whiff by the Saints.
Yeah, I
there.
remember that.
And then they were like, no, look, we tried to sign him, but he picked Denver instead because of blah, 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 blah.
And then they were like, Eno Benjamin.
He ain't no Latavius Murray.
Murray, present.
Nope.
No, he ain't. So I don't know, Muse. I think we probably have to have
when we do our NFL takeaways this fall every Monday. Are you just automatically going to have a Bills one because of Latavius Murray?
Murray, present.
Yeah, I like that idea. I also kind of feel like though. I forgot what I was going to say. I hate when that happens.
It's the worst, especially in talk radio.
It's not the worst.
In talk radio, it might be the worst.
Nope. I could think of something worse. I can think of two things worse. One would be letting a word slip that you shouldn't say.
Yeah, it's bad. No, that's bad.
And number two is when you got to go, and you look up at the clock and you're like, man, I got an 8-minute segment ahead of me. We're gonna test those muscles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
Both of those would be worse.
That's fair.
But yeah, I'm excited about that. Latavius Murray going to
Murray,
Buffalo.
present.
He's the gift that keeps on giving. 33 years old. How much longer is he going to play?
I mean,
I hope he makes the team.
Yeah. Hopefully he just keeps going.
If he doesn't make the team, that would stink.
Then we could do a story about how Latavius Murray didn't make the team.
Murray, present.
But then it would end.
Maybe someone would pick him up.
It was like Vanderbilt was the gift that kept on giving for a long time. Simi Shitu.
Yeah.
And then honestly,
it was the other guy, the guy from Media Days this year. Orgy.
By the way, Muse, the New Orleans Saints signed Anthony Orgy as an undrafted free agent. It's on the rundown to talk about. And quite honestly,
I should pay more attention to that.
I'm pumped.
Yeah.
About the Saints signing Anthony Orgy. Not even because of the name and the jokes and the possibilities there, because they need linebacker help. He's a really good player. I interviewed him last year at Media Days. I got to sit down and talk to him. I mean, we joked about the name, but I actually got to talk to the guy. He's freaking really impressive. So we'll talk about that a bit later. Okay, Latavius Murray.
Murray, present.
Headed to the Bills. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. Big shout out, man. My guy Joel and Sean McMullen, of course. Sean played on the 2013-2014 LSU teams, now working over at Michelli. They were in town yesterday. We got to go to the LSU baseball game, hang out at the Guarantee Suite. It's the only time they ever let me in the suite is when Joel and Sean come in and the Michelli guys come hang out. But it was great to see them. Tell you all the time, man, it was fun to talk to Sean as well and Joel. the New Orleans office right there in Harahan, they're finally getting finished, something that really got delayed because of Ida, the expansion project there at the Michelle Harahan office down in the New Orleans area. But I'm excited to pop on down and see it. But listen, 29 offices across 11 different states. That's actually expanding because they're adding an office that they just acquired in Santa Barbara. When you're talking about a business that's been around for 76 years, continuing to maintain its local ownership, but continue to expand and grow, so much fun to be a part of and to watch. Michelle Weighing and Measurement. You weigh or measure something, they sell, service, rent the products you use to weigh and measure. Michelle.com, Michelle.com. Okay, y'all, it's after further review. Here comes SportsCenter. When we come back, Garrett Nussmeier staying at LSU. What does it mean for the future of the quarterback position? That's next.
AFR.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
What's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. 76ers center Joel Embiid has had improvement with his sprained knee, worked out after the morning shoot-around, but ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports it's unlikely he plays in Game 1 of their second-round NBA playoff series tonight against the Celtics. If Embiid is out, the Celtics will make life extremely difficult for James Harden as he tries to carry the load for Philly, believes ESPN's Tim Legler.
I think Boston has a lot of different perimeter players that you could throw at James Harden, whether it's Brown, Tatum, Marcus Smart, Brogdon, Derek White. All of those guys are elite-level perimeter defenders. And without Embiid, I think that really gives James Harden a very tall order to try to get his team a win in Boston if Embiid does not play or he is limited.
Two of the best words in sports. Game 7, Devils-Rangers finish off the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs in Game 7 tonight, 8 Eastern, ESPN TV. Baseball from ESPN's Jeff Passan. Philadelphia's Bryce Harper cleared to play. Will return from Tommy John surgery tomorrow against the Dodgers. Forte, the morning line favorite for Saturday's Kentucky Derby, drew the number 15 post at 3-1 odds.
Springtime hiring sprees call for Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform helps attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Sponsor a job and instantly receive a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Is that Matt?
You're a loser, Matt!
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tom. Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. We'll head to Oxford in 30 minutes. Continue our SEC spring recaps. Our buddy Neal McCready will be here. 15 minutes from right now, Cesar Ruiz, Saints will not pick up his fifth-year option, the former first-round pick. So we'll get to that and some reaction. Again, 15 minutes from right now. Sunday was the last day of the spring portal window for college football players to enter their name into the portal. Remember, you can sign or commit to a team at any point, but you can only enter the portal during the designated portal windows. Now, there are exceptions for graduate transfers who can leave whenever they want, all that sort of stuff. Like, remember, that was the case with Joe Burrow famously, where he went through spring. There was no portal window at the time. He went through spring. He was a graduate. He left and then joined LSU in May. There was one player in particular that if you were an LSU fan, you were keeping a keen eye on and holding your breath and praying. And that's Garrett Nussmeier. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, oh, that's a fabricated storyline. Garrett Nussmeier wasn't leaving. When Walker Howard left, Garrett was committed to being here. I'm here to tell you that's not exactly the case. I believe firmly that had Jaden Daniels not twisted his ankle against Georgia in the SEC championship game and Garrett Nussmeier played the second half, that Garrett Nussmeier would no longer be at LSU. I don't know that anybody will ever say that on the record, but I'm confident enough telling that to you here now because I believe that to be true based on a lot of different conversations I've had. To the point where I know schools that were interested. Don't think that tampering don't happen behind the scenes and through back channels or third parties or whatever you want to call it. Maybe tampering is a taboo word, but call it whatever you want. I don't really care. That's for you all to decide. You all know what we're talking about. And ultimately, we saw what happened. Played the bowl game. Nussmeier got every third series. I believe that was in many ways a way to sort of pacify Garrett Nussmeier, to get him on the field, to have him feel valued, engaged, and involved, and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, that cost you Walker Howard. We talked about this. That was the decision that Brian Kelly made, and thinking Walker Howard would never leave, and he did. And so now you go into spring with Daniels and Nussmeier. And Kelly has said time and again, Jaden is the starting quarterback. But you have to be open when you have two good ones, and you have to be willing to evaluate consistently, leaving the door open, right? So there's always the possibility. And when you see situations like what happened at Alabama, where they go through spring, they've got Ty Simpson, they've got Jalen Milroe, and you come out of spring not feeling good about either of them, and you don't want to start a true freshman, so what do? Okay, you go get Tyler Buckner from Notre Dame, right? Sometimes those situations present themselves after spring, but you don't know until you go through it. So I think that's why, if you're an LSU fan or a coaching staff or whatever, you were holding your breath until that portal window closed. Our buddy Shea Dixon tweeted earlier today that he spoke with Garrett Nussmeier. So remember, and that Nussmeier is remaining at LSU. Shea tweeted this earlier today. Garrett Nussmeier tells me he's remaining at LSU. Nussmeier passed on both portal windows to stay with the Tigers with 3 years of eligibility remaining. Okay, so that is significant because remember, while the portal window is closed, sometimes guys could have already filed their paperwork. It just hasn't presented. So we may see in the coming 24, 48 hours more names pop up in the portal that just haven't been processed yet. But that's telling you there, Garrett Nussmeier told Shea, no, I'm staying. Awesome news if you're LSU, because what that does, it solidifies the quarterback position for at least 2 years. You know going into 2023 now, you've got Jaden Daniels as your starter, fifth-year guy, and behind him is Garrett Nussmeier, who a lot of people feel very comfortable with. And then you've got Ricky Collins. So you've got two veteran guys and the freshman. Would I love to have another just in case? Yes. I don't want to be a turned ankle away from having a true freshman as my backup. But that's the situation they're in. And then if you look to 2024, Garrett Nussmeier is and has to be considered the presumed starter for 2024. What we don't know and could always transpire is you could have an opportunity in a portal to add somebody else. We saw that last year. I mean, we all at this point a year ago were looking at Miles Brennan, or I guess before spring, we're looking at Miles Brennan going, it's finally Miles' shot, right? He's persevered through injuries, COVID, the unfortunate broken arm before 2021, and finally 2022 was going to be a shot. And then Jaden Daniels popped up into the portal, and you said, man, got a chance to get that guy with a ton of experience. Got to go get him, right? Let him compete. You did, and we all know what happened. Jaden ultimately won the job, and Miles never played again. So we can sit here today and assume that next year, that in 2024, it'll be Nussmeier's team, and maybe it will be. And if it is, awesome. To have a guy as a fourth-year player who stays and patiently waits and finally gets his opportunity and makes the most of it would be awesome. But if you're Brian Kelly, you always have to be open to the possibility of adding guys to your roster that can make you better. But what this does is it solidifies you for 2023, certainly. And Nussmeier basically becomes your guy in 2024, unless if there's a better option. And he's a great option as a fourth-year guy who will have been around for a long time and hopefully gets more experience and playing time this year. So if this is going to sound like a negative connotation, I don't mean it as such at all, but Garrett Nussmeier kind of becomes your floor for 2024. And that's a really high floor. I mean, how many teams in college football would be tickled to have him as their number one? I mean, you could name the ones that are set, right? If it's like Caleb Williams at SC, if you're talking about Drake May at North Carolina, Sam Hartman transferring into Notre Dame is going to be their starter. I mean, the programs that are set and settled at quarterback. Other than that, they'd probably love to have this guy. So you go into 2024 knowing you're totally great with Nussmeier, and the only way he's not your guy is if some weird a Joe Burrow-like situation presents itself where you have an opportunity to add a guy who beats him out. And if that's or last year with Jaden Daniels. And if that's the case, okay, you're still great at that position. The other thing that this tells me is, and not just the Nussmeier situation. So, that's fantastic for LSU. But just sort of as a whole, I think it illustrates the stability that Brian Kelly is bringing to this program. The fact that they have had 0 spring portal transfers. 0. Not one. It's not to say they didn't have any transfers, because you did have some after the end of the regular season. And that's going to happen in every program. Like, every program every year is going to have players transferred out. That was true before the portal was even a thing. And it doesn't matter how great you are. Look, I mean, Georgia is right now at the pinnacle of college football. They've had guys leave. You don't think Georgia wanted Bear Alexander to stay? Well, now he's at Southern Cal. Like, no matter how good or great or stable you are, you're going to lose guys. So I'm not saying that. I mean, I would love it if DeMario Tolan was still at LSU, but Auburn went and dumped a bunch of NIL money on him, and he left. Okay, it's going to happen. You're going to gain some, you're going to lose some. As we say, the portal give it, the portal take it away. But when you can go through spring and not lose a single player into the portal after spring football, the amount of, I think that illustrates stability, but also the level of communication within a program. Because if your coaching staff is being honest and forthcoming with your players, then you know what your roles are, you know what opportunities exist, and what expectations are there. And when that's clearly laid out with a football program or a business, or anything, it's going to help build stability and longevity with a workforce. So I mean, just think about where you work. If you know exactly where you stand in your company, what your expectations are, what the goals you have are day to day, how to meet them, and what your benefit will be if you do, like, that's a good place to work. I mean, the same is true in a college football program or anything like that. Anything where you're building structure within an organization. And Brian Kelly's clearly done that. So this was great news today. I don't know that there was ever really a great chance that Nussmeier was going to leave after staying through the last portal window. But the possibility remained. The door was open, or the window, in a literal sense, was open. So now it's closed, and Garrett Nussmeier will be back at LSU in 2023, and presumably for a couple of years beyond that, which stabilizes the most important position in team sports for LSU for the foreseeable future. Okay, it's after further review. Glad you're with us. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows, Windows Door Siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, the Saints are not going to pick up Cesar Ruiz's fifth-year option. What does that mean for the player, for the position, for the future? We'll get to all of it next on AFR.
AFR.
Buying or selling, commercial or residential. You need to sell your home. You need Darren James. I'm going to give you Darren's cell. You want to get out your phone, you want to punch us in, you want to call him, you want to text him, agent225.com. You go to the website, agent225.com. I'm going to give you Darren's cell number. And some people may say, I got my realtor's cell. Does your realtor give their cell number out on daily radio ads? Darren does. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. How many realtors do daily radio ads promoting their listings, promoting their properties? Your listing to get more eyeballs on it. Darren does. There's one in Bocage, $1.25 million. 5-bedroom, 4-bath. It could be yours right now. There's another one in Walker, Harvest Grove, $119K. I tell you all the time, doesn't matter if it's $1 million house, $100,000 house, Darren has a way of making you feel like you are his only client. So call Darren James. Get your home sold.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We're going to head to Oxford in about 15 minutes, visit with our buddy Neal McCready from Rebel Grove. We'll do our SEC spring recap, looking at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin looking like a strong start last year like we talked about, and then the wheels came off a bit. Can they bounce back? They hit a glass ceiling in Oxford. We'll talk about it all coming up in about 15 minutes. So NFL draft has come and gone, and one of the things that we learned here on Monday is that the Saints will not exercise the fifth-year option for offensive lineman Cesar Ruiz. Ruiz was the 24th overall pick back in 2020, and the convo that most often circulates around Ruiz, as it did the night he was drafted, is the fact that the Saints took Ruiz ahead of Patrick Queen out of LSU. And, of course, Queen has gone on to have a very good career with the Baltimore Ravens, and it was at a time where the Saints needed linebackers. I would say the thing that we learned, within 48 hours of the draft that year was, what we did know at the time, was that the Saints were going to cut Larry Warford, which they did in the cap saving measure. And they were going to be in need of a starting offensive lineman. So they drafted Cesar Ruiz. There's a lot to say about Ruiz, both good and bad. The good, for example, is the old line our buddy Mike Detillier would say all the time, the best ability is availability. Cesar Ruiz has been available during his career. As a rookie in 2020, he played in 15 of the 16 games. 2021, played in all 17 games. And last year, played in 14 games till a foot injury shut him down at the end of the season. He has played in 46 games with 40 starts. He started 40 of the 46 games that he has played in, missing just 4 over 3 years. And, of course, that was really last year with the foot injury at the end of the season. In 868 snaps last year, he committed just 3 penalties and allowed just 3 sacks. Very good. Now, if you look at the Pro Football Focus overall grade for Cesar Ruiz, it's like 56. It's not very good. And maybe what we've learned about Ruiz is that he is just a good starter in the NFL, maybe never to be a dominant player. And I also think, I do think about this sometimes when we talk about Ruiz. It's how different would his path have been had he ended up playing center and not guard. Just follow me with the connect the dots if you don't remember this, but the Saints, of course, had Max Unger, who suddenly retired before the 2019 season. They draft Eric McCoy. The Saints did not have a first-round pick that year, so they took McCoy with their first pick, which was a second-rounder. McCoy was a center at Texas A&M, but could also play guard. They put McCoy in at center and then draft Ruiz the next year. And Drew Brees, who everyone thought was going to retire, made the decision to come back. Well, in Brees' final season, they didn't want to upset the apple cart and give Brees a third different center in 3 years to go from Unger to McCoy to Ruiz. So Brees had good rapport with McCoy, and so they left McCoy at center, and Ruiz played guard, not his natural position. And what's happened subsequent is McCoy's just a really good center. So they've left McCoy at center, and Ruiz ain't a great guard. So do you upset two positions? Like, do you move McCoy out of his better position to move him to guard to move Ruiz to center? Like, are you lessening yourself at two spots if you move him, or do you just keep your really good starting center in the spot he's in, which is what the Saints have ultimately elected to do. And in starting Cesar Ruiz at right guard, they played him at a position that's not his natural or best position. So it's been a little bit odd, and I don't think it's how they had drawn it up or how they would have wanted it to go the way that it has. But it's just the way that it has. And if you're scoring at home, had the Saints picked up Ruiz's fifth-year option, it would have guaranteed him $14.17 million in 2024, his fifth season. There's just no justification to pay Cesar Ruiz $14.175 million in 2024 for a good, not great starter on the offensive line, especially when you're a team that is cash-strapped and has to pinch pennies at points because of the way you use the cap, if you're the New Orleans Saints. So I understand and can certainly endorse not picking up Ruiz's fifth-year option. It's not to say Ruiz is done in New Orleans, because I think there's a really good chance he will be back in New Orleans, just not at $14.175 million in 2024. The other thing to consider is Andrus Peat. Pete is going to play 2023 on a restructured contract that essentially he took a pay cut to stay. And this is very likely Andrus Peat's last year in New Orleans. I think this illustration of Pete's contract and an aging, declining player, and then not picking up Ruiz's fifth-year option, leaves you very much open to the possibility that he could be gone next year. Now, maybe there's not a really robust market for Cesar Ruiz, and you're able to re-sign him in New Orleans at a lesser number. We'll see and cross that bridge when we get there. But if you're the Saints, you have to at least consider the possibility that after 2023, you're going to lose both starting offensive guards. That Pete is very likely a casualty, a cap casualty, and Ruiz could sign somewhere else as a free agent. So you could end up losing both of those guys on the interior. And for a team that has built its offensive line inside out, I mean, that's what the Saints have done. And I understand that for a time there with Armstead and Ramczyk, you had arguably the best tackle tandem in football. But if you go back and you think about having Jari Evans and Carl Nix and the way that the Saints have built, they have drafted interior players. We just mentioned Ruiz and McCoy and obviously Pete. It's what they've done. I mean, they have put a premium and did so when they had Drew Brees, a 6-foot-tall quarterback, where they had to make sure you didn't pressure Brees from the inside, the interior, so they built the line inside out. I think that's a big reason why they went and drafted Nick Saldiveri in this draft. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know everything about Nick Saldiveri, but what I will tell you is in The 4th round of the draft, the Saints traded up to have the very first pick of round 4 because that was the guy they wanted. And it was very heady because there were, in the next 19 picks, there were 6 offensive guards taken. The run on offensive guards came after the Saints took Saldiveri. So had they stood pat with their 4th round selections, they might not have gotten the guy they wanted. So you have to think they really like the player to have made as aggressive a move as they did to go up with the first pick of day 3 in round 4 to be able to take Nick Saldiveri. I would assume the hope is when you look ahead to 2024, if not this year in 2023, if Trevor Penning is your starting left tackle, great. You used a first-round pick on him last year. We know half his season was lost due to injury. But if Penning's your left tackle, Ramchik's your right tackle, McCoy is your center, and you're looking at your guards, well, maybe you retain Cesar Ruiz on a lesser deal, and maybe Nick Saldiveri becomes your starting left guard. Or maybe Calvin Throckmorton takes a big step forward and is ready to be a consistent starting player in this league instead of a rotational player. I guess we're just talking through the scenarios as they could unfold. But at its most basic level, the news of the day of the Saints not picking up Cesar Ruiz's contract for a 5th year, you could look at it and say, well, he's a bust. It's a wasted pick. What you expect out of first rounders is that they are starters on your team immediately. And Cesar Ruiz has been that. He has been a starter for his entire time in New Orleans. And he has been durable and available. Even 2 seasons ago when everybody on the offensive line was injured, he was the only guy of the starting 5 that played all 17 games in 2021. So he has been available. He hasn't been great. He's probably out of position. He's certainly not worth $14 million, which is why they didn't pick up his option. But I think he still has a role in New Orleans. And maybe, hopefully, his best football could still be ahead of him. So the Saints do not exercise Cesar Ruiz's 5th-year option, but hardly means he's done in New Orleans. It's something we'll have to follow throughout this offseason and very likely next to see if the Saints sign him as a free agent or if he does walk like other former first-round picks have, most notably here recently, Marcus Davenport. All right. It's after further review. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back, and we'll head over to Oxford, visit with our buddy Neal McCready from Rebel Grove. SEC spring recaps. We'll take a quick look at the Rebs when we return here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Remember, if you own a business anywhere in the state of Louisiana or a commercial building, it is so worth looking into an electric vehicle charger. ProCharge EV is a local company. They act as a distributor for NLX, which is a company out of Italy, which they sell the #1 rated and graded EV chargers in the world. And that's your local distributor here. ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Get to the website to learn more. Look, whether you drive an electric vehicle or not is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is people do. And the manufacturers are ramping up production as more and more people are driving, and they need chargers, and they need infrastructure. And there are federal grants, there are state dollars. There's a lot of things that go into helping build this infrastructure. You and your business could be part of it. Learn more at ProChargeEV.com and learn how it can be a revenue generator for you as well. ProChargeEV.com.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah.
You don't know what you're doing.
Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you can run the slalom. The cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. The SEC Spring Recap on After Further Review. The Ole Miss Rebels.
All right, let's head over to Oxford. Our buddy Neal McCready from Rebel Grove, good enough to spend a couple of minutes with us. Take a look at how Lane and the boys did this spring. How are you, man?
Matt, I'm good. How are you, sir?
I am doing very well. I love the draft, and I love college baseball, so a weekend like this was just a binge fest for me, so I'm fired up for it all. Hey, let me ask you about quarterback. I'm sure that's where everybody starts when we have these conversations. I mean, obviously everyone here is interested in Walker Howard going over to Ole Miss, and they had Spencer Sanders as well from Oklahoma State. What does that mean for Jackson Dart?
Hell of a great question. I still wish I knew the answer, and I don't yet. I mean, look, here's the thing. They got Walker Howard, former LSU quarterback, to be their quarterback of the future. And I think when they refer to future, they're referring to 2024. Spencer Sanders, it's a clean deal there because Spencer Sanders has one season of eligibility left. So when this season ends, whether he's the starter or the second string or the eighth string, his eligibility is up. Jackson Dart, on the other hand, turns 20 this month. Jackson, this will be his third season. So, I mean, yes, he's draft eligible if you believe he's an NFL caliber player, but odds are he's going to be playing college football again in 2024. Now, he could graduate sometime in the next 12 months and go as a grad transfer. He's already used his one-time transfer when he transferred from USC to Ole Miss, but he could transfer again. So there's some options there, but at the end of the day, man, I always kind of assumed when Spencer Sanders came in that meant that Jackson Dart's days were numbered. And a part of me still feels that way, yet if you try to interpret everything Lane Kiffin said, which can be a very confusing thing to do, over the course of the spring, he was very complimentary of Jackson, talked about how much Jackson had matured and grown up and improved and all of those things. And he talked about Jackson Dart the way that most coaches would talk about an incumbent returning starter.
How did Walker do?
You know what? He did really well. He's obviously learning a new system, and he's learning a new place and new terminology and all of those things. It's a different style of offense than what they run at LSU. But he's got, as you know, so much arm talent. And he's such a remarkably good kid and so much poise. And he's got a really bright future. He looked really good. There were multiple practices where I felt like he was the best quarterback on the field. And then there were a handful of practices where you could tell that, especially compared to a guy like Sanders who has started, I can't remember the exact number. I want to say it's 54 games. And Dart, who has now started, 18 games between USC and Ole Miss. You could see an experience gap there, but that's something that he will close with time without a problem.
Look, all the quarterbacks, or all the comments and questions naturally going to revolve around quarterbacks, but guys like Zach Evans and Jonathan Mingo, they're off to the NFL. Did spring reveal any talent as far as weapons on the offensive side?
They're going to miss Jonathan Mingo, and they're going to miss Malik Heath, who is gone as well. They added Caden Priestcorn from Memphis as a tight end. It allowed them to use Michael Trigg in some different ways. Michael Trigg was a guy last year that sometimes looked like a future All-Pro and sometimes looked like he just didn't really care whether he ever played college football again or not. And they need him to grow up and kind of be that guy because physically it's all there. They went out and got Chris Mitchell from Texas A&M, and there were times when, man, he certainly looked the part. They added the Harris, offensive lineman from Louisiana Tech, who you could tell is an experienced college wide receiver. I still think they could probably use another body there. They've got a highly regarded high school kid coming in that I know they're excited about. But, if you told me that they're still sort of searching the portal for another wide receiver target, I'd buy it. And then, of course, Quinshawn Judkins is back. But he's back in a running back room that's not particularly crowded right now. They've got a high school kid coming in out of Texas that they're super high on. But, Lane even kind of referenced maybe using the portal to add some depth at running back. But, obviously Quinshawn Judkins will be their guy.
If we flip it over to defense, obviously Pete Golding comes in from Alabama as the defensive coordinator. Is there going to be like a noticeable difference when you watch Ole Miss on defense with Pete Golding as opposed to past years?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be more of a kind of a four-down look, a 4-2 with the 5 DBs. But they're going to try to do it the way Alabama does it. But here's Golding's challenge is this: there's no Will Anderson on this team. There's no Brian Branch on the back end. There's no battle on the back end right now. Maybe they'll recruit those guys. And they certainly have a linebacker coming in, and Suntarine Perkins, who they think is a high-impact level player from day one. But, he's going to have to adjust to, at least in year one, having less talent. It is a new scheme. They're going to, not do some of that 3-down front that Ole Miss did in Lane Kiffin's first 3 years here, where sometimes if a team just could line up and physically pop you, they did. They're going to be a little more aggressive in terms of trying to get after the quarterback and stuff like that. But listen, this is a defense that is being retooled even as we speak. They're very active in the portal right now in May, trying to add some guys that can help at a minimum with depth along the front seven.
Neal McCready for a couple more minutes, rebelgrove.com. If you want to go read about the Rebs, you can do it there. I know you and I have talked about this a bit, Neal, but Lane kind of had his he had his flirtation with Auburn and the Auburn job this offseason. Where does that leave Ole Miss administration, fan base, just the general feel around the place with Lane there?
I think it turned the honeymoon into a business relationship. I think Lane underestimated how much damage that did between he and the fan base. I think it evaporated a lot of the goodwill that had been built up. Now, they still love him.
Mm-hmm.
And he stayed, and at the end of the day, if he wins, people will forget all about it. You've done this for a while. You know how it works. If they hit a rough patch, and look, they play LSU and Alabama in the front half of the season.
Yeah.
If they hit a rough patch, some of that stuff's going to come back up. And it's just whether that's fair or not, is really immaterial. It's going to happen. People got their feelings hurt. It wasn't a flirtation. It was a serious courtship. Auburn wanted Lane Kiffin. And Lane knew it, and I think it impacted some of the things that happened in November. And I think there was a time, and I can't prove this, Matt, but I do think there was a time where I think Lane Kiffin thought he would take that job, and then something happened, and I think it was mostly personal. His daughter Moved to Oxford last year, is a senior at Oxford High School, is planning to go to Ole Miss. His whole family has basically moved here outside of his brother Chris. And, I think there were some of those things that played a major role. But, there's no question that Lane was seriously considering Auburn, and that Auburn was kind of a distraction in the month of November, especially in the last couple of weeks of the season. And those are games that Ole Miss lost to Arkansas and Mississippi State. And whether it's right or wrong, the fans blame a lot of that flirtation and quote distraction for those losses.
Man, last year we looked at Ole Miss, Neal, and it was like you could look and see, man, that's a team that we knew was going to start 7-0, have a chance to start 8-0, but the gauntlet was coming. You're right, it's flipped. It's an inverse this year. So a long way to go between now and September the 2nd when they open up against Mercer. But realistically, what are people that are thinking for this team in 2023?
Well, so like you said, and not only that, but the schedule's more difficult this year. They trade a home game against Kentucky for a road trip to Georgia.
Yeah.
That is not a good trade. That's the kind of trade my Cubs would make.
That's a bad trade.
It's a bad trade. They didn't even get like a player to be named later in that deal.
Cash consideration.
just a total disaster. It's hard, and they got LSU early in the season. They got Alabama early in the season. Those are going to be difficult games to win. I don't think they're games that they will win. They got to go to Auburn. The whole Hugh Freeze deal there. You can bet, knowing Hugh, that Auburn will be locked in for Ole Miss at Jordan-Hare. And look, man, it's a schedule where I think if you offered Ole Miss 8-4 today, they'd have to take it. And they gave Lane a bunch of money, and fans are not going to be rational about this. Anything under 8-4, and people are going to get a little antsy. And it's not difficult for me to get this team to 7-5 or 6-6. Yeah. And that's not saying that they can't win, but those are going to be hard games to win. They're going to have to be a better team than they were last year to get to 8-4 or better. And I don't know that this team's going to be better this season. It's got a chance in some spots, but look, they lost some key players. Tavius Robinson, A.J. Finley, some guys who played a lot of SEC defensive football. And they've got to replace those guys and new coordinator and all the quarterback stuff and everything else. It's going to be a real challenge, Matt.
It is never boring in the SEC. He is Neal McCready, rebelgrove.com. Follow him on Twitter at Neal McCready. We appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Always good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Be well. It's After Further Review. Always love telling you about our friends over at Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com. Got to buy tires? Go buy them at Shawbills. They're always going to give you a great deal. You can always go to the website, ShawbillsTire.com, to search their promotions, ShawbillsTire.com. I know I tell you every day, when you go to Shawbills as well, be sure to ask about the Shawbills credit card, because so many of their great deals start with that, right? That's how they'll unlock some great incentives as well. When you use the Shawbills credit card for the first time, you get $50 off any purchase. If that's tires, if that's an oil change. Like if you want your oil change, go use the Shawbills credit card for the first time. You essentially get a free oil change. It's at Shawbills. You can schedule service. You can shop tires. You can find the location. You can do it all online. You can chat with a representative online with their chat bot. It's right there on the homepage at ShawbillsTire.com, even on the mobile page as well at ShawbillsTire.com. ShawbillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. All right, Muso's going to have Tigers in the pros to wrap up hour number 2. We'll reset LSU baseball. If you weren't here, we opened the show with Jay Johnson, and we talked about the sweep and talked about a lot about Paul Skeen's load management and ramping up Javen Coleman and how the offense has been so good and how just offense around the country as a whole. But I do want to give you my thoughts on the LSU sweep from this weekend, this team as a whole, because the very interesting. It's almost like a test case in the psychology of the fan base right now. But I tweeted out after the game yesterday about how LSU gave up 11 runs on 10 hits, committed 4 errors, walked 7, hit 3, and still won. And instead of viewing that as, man, this team is resilient and finds a way to win, a lot of you looked at that and said, this isn't sustainable. I think it's completely sustainable. And I'll explain all that in about 15 minutes to start hour number 3. So we're glad to have you aboard with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Muse will do Tigers in the pros, and hopefully we have some news from who plays for the Cyclones again? Who is it?
Paul Gervais.
Yes, hopefully did Paul Gervais pitch? Well, don't surprise me. Hopefully Paul Gervais pitched over the weekend so we get to play Cyclone by Baby Bash. All right, it's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Renaissance Hotel, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. Of course, when we talk about the Renaissance, we talk about two things primarily. Well, of course, you know that they have exquisite guest rooms. So if you have family or friends coming from out of town, go stay at the Renaissance. It's right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. I mean, it's so convenient to everything. But if you're in town and you're looking to host an event, the Renaissance Hotel, they always say, we are in the business of saying yes. When you walk into the Renaissance, you'll see all their meeting space. Their luxurious ballroom can host up to 500 people. So for that, I mean, whether it's fraternity or sorority formals, if it's awards banquets, if it's fundraising events, if it's wedding receptions, they can do it all at the Renaissance Hotel. Also, Tallulah, beautiful, casual, upscale dining inside of the Renaissance Hotel right there in Bluebonnet. Next time you have a business lunch, go to Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Got it. We're good. No worries. Put my headphones on the mic. Nobody saw it, did they? You didn't have the camera on me, did you, Paulie?
Oh, 100% I did.
You're supposed to lie. Let's try it again. You didn't have the camera on me, did you, Paulie?
No, not yet.
Okay, good. Thanks. Whew. All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Muso. Tigers in the pros. Hit it, Muse. No, not that.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
No, Muse, when I said...
You're the worst. All right.
Muse, when I said hit it, I meant hit the sounder, not...
That's what I did. I hit the sounder.
I mean, take a hit.
I hit the sounder. You said hit it, and the music started playing. What are you even
We
talking
all
about?
understand.
Oh, my gosh.
Your habit is what it is.
So, the NFL draft was
Nobody's
this past
judging
weekend.
you, Muse, but you got to be more responsible when you're at work. You know? Some things are frowned upon.
The NFL draft was this past weekend. Yeah. No Tigers in the first round, but it got started pretty early on day 2 for LSU.
With the 41st
Hate to
pick
see that.
and the 2023
Timing couldn't
draft,
have been any better.
the Arizona Cardinals select BJ Ojulari, linebacker, LSU.
Those delayed reactions, Muse.
So with BJ off the board at 41 to the Cardinals, that started the surge for LSU on actually that was it on day 2, but day 3 the surge kind of started again. I don't know. Leave me alone. Offensive guard Anthony Bradford first off the board Saturday, 4th round, 108 overall to the Seattle Seahawks. Jay Ward followed in the 4th round at number 134 overall to the Minnesota Vikings. The very next pick for the Vikings was in round 5, and they took Jaquelin Roy, 141, Jay Ward's teammate. Wide receiver Kayshon Boutte finally saw his wait come to an end, 187 overall to the New England Patriots. Pretty interesting pick there. And Jarek Bernard Converse rounded out the day for LSU and the draft, number 204 to the New York Jets. All in all, 6 selections for LSU. That marks the 4th consecutive year and the 6th time in 7 years that the Tigers have had at least 6 players picked in the NFL draft. NFLSU, they call it that for a reason. Another reason is the undrafted free agents, Matt. They've had plenty of those take their sign their deals and head off to the next level. Ali Gay, UDFA with the Houston Texans. Mike Jones Jr.
Who?
Mike Jones. He'll be in the division with the Atlanta Falcons, now the NFC South. You know, LSU linebackers in the NFC South. That happens. Jeray Jenkins, he's off to the Jacksonville Jaguars on an undrafted free agent deal. Micah Baskerville to the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
And finally, Colby Richardson.
Cody Dickerson.
No, Colby. This is Colby Richardson. This is a different guy.
Oh.
Actually, it's the same guy, but you get it. He'll also be in the division. Carolina Panthers.
Attaboy, Cody.
Undrafted free agent deal. Mekhi Garner to the Philadelphia Eagles. That's your undrafted free agents. To baseball we go. On Saturday, Kevin Gausman threw a gem. Got a no decision, though. 7 innings, scattered 6 hits, shutout baseball, 13 punchies for Gausman, 108 pitches, 74 of those for strikes.
Is that good?
That's pretty good. Over the weekend, yesterday, Alex Lang, mop-up duty for the Tigers, but pretty darn good at it. 2/3 of an inning, perfect, 2 strikeouts. Faced 2 batters, strike them both out. Tigers lost to the Orioles.
What's his ERA right now?
Who? Langer? Langer's at 1.42.
Like, he better be careful, or he's going to end up getting an all-star bid like Will Harris did back in 2017 with Houston.
He was close to it last year.
You're flirting with an ERA around 1, and you just keep stacking good outings. I don't care how bad your team is. Like, he better be careful. He's going to find himself in an all-star game. Come on, Langer. Go get him, man.
I'm here for it. That'd be great. Austin Nola. Big day at the plate for the dads yesterday. 1 for 4. Homer, first of the season, 2-run shot for Nola. So 2 RBI, a run scored.
He learned that over on Hearthstone Drive, Muse. That's what they teach him over there. Power hitters, sluggers, churning them out left and right.
Yeah, I don't remember him being a power hitter at LSU.
That's because they didn't want him to be.
Okay.
Got to do what you're coached to do, Muse.
And unfortunately, Matt, The Brooklyn Cyclones got rained out not once, but twice yesterday and over the weekend. So
God didn't want it.
There is no Paul Gervais today, but
the Cyclones,
they're back in action tomorrow.
The Cyclones were rained out.
They were rained out twice.
See the thing out of the way.
That's Tigers in the pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com. For Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, you want an exquisite piece of jewelry, a beautiful diamond that is sure to thrill her and make you a hero, gentlemen. Give her a gift in the red box. Mother's Day is 2 weeks away. We're actually less than 2 weeks away. 2 weeks from yesterday is Mother's Day. Thrill mom. Show her what she means to you in your life with a beautiful gift from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com, lmfj.com. Okay, LSU baseball sweeps, yet LSU fans are in a panic. Shocker. Okay, we're recapping the LSU baseball series when we come back right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Love telling you about Traction. Get to TractionSports.com. TractionSports.com. Y'all, right now, parents, you need to get rid of your kids for part of the summer. I don't blame you. But they've also got the Traction Summer Baseball Leagues. You can go to TractionSports.com right now to register. Go to TractionSports.com. You'll see it right there, 2023 Summer Baseball League. The league opens June 5th, so we're a little more than a month away. You can register now. A couple of things to remind you. Number one, if your son doesn't play in a Traction League right now, that's okay. If they're in a different league but want to play Traction this summer, you can. Go to TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Not as many games, not as many practices, so it's not quite as intense as the spring baseball leagues. But Traction Summer Baseball League going on starting June 5th. You can register right now. And some kids actually play up as well if you want to prepare for next year's league. Learn more. TractionSports.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Following a crime increase in the Baton Rouge area, Council President Lamont Cole says he's been in touch with the community and having regular talks with police about increasing presence in concentrated areas with crime. It follows shootings a block apart within days and the calls from the community to get something done. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf
SportsCenter. I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, the 76ers will have a big hole in their lineup for Game 1 of their second-round NBA playoff series tonight against the Celtics. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports center Joel Embiid out with a sprained knee. With Embiid sidelined, Paul Reed, Jalen McDaniels, P.J. Tucker will be key for the Sixers to defend Boston's size, notes ESPN's Monica McNutt.
Those are some of their more versatile defenders, in particular Tucker and McDaniel. But McDaniel oftentimes is defending guards. And so it's going to be interesting for the Sixers, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, in my mind. Offense, if they get hot from behind the three-point line or even in the mid-range, they could be okay. But defensively is where you're going to miss Joel Embiid a ton.
The Knicks listing Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle questionable against the Heat for Game 2 tomorrow. Two of the best words in sports, Game 7, Devils-Rangers finish off the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs with the Game 7 tonight, 8 Eastern, ESPN TV. Baseball, Yankee slugger Aaron Judge put on the injured list with a right hip strain. From ESPN's Jeff Passan, Philadelphia's Bryce Harper cleared to return from Tommy John surgery, expected to DH against the Dodgers tomorrow night.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance. And cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Musso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. We're going to run through the LSU guys that went in the draft and those that went undrafted. That's coming up in about 15 minutes from right now. And at the bottom of the hour, we have not yet talked about the Saints trading Adam Troutman and what that means for the Saints at the tight end position moving forward. We'll get all that coming ahead. If you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Jay Johnson led the show with us. We recapped the Saints draft picks. We talked about Garrett Nussmeier staying with LSU as the portal window closes. Saints not picking up Cesar Ruiz's fifth-year option. I mean, we have been jam-packed of stuff today. So if you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. So we opened the show today with Jay Johnson, but I didn't give you a chance to give you my thoughts on the LSU baseball weekend as the Tigers sweep Alabama this weekend. 8-6 on Friday night behind Paul Skeen's. Beautiful rally on Saturday to win it 12-8. From down 6-1 all the way back to win it. And then, of course, a roller coaster game on Sunday at the box as LSU wins a marathon 13-11. Here was Jay Johnson after LSU swept back-to-back weekends.
Super proud of the team, and if you look back at the last 2 weekends, 2 sweeps, and kind of done in different fashion, and that's a sign of a good team and something we take pride in is being able to win any type of game that you're playing in, and they've done that here lately.
Okay. Couple of things that I want to talk about specifically about the weekend, and then I want to give you a big picture take. Number one, Paul Skeen has completely spoiled us rotten. He gave you 6 innings of 5-hit, 1-run ball, struck out 9, walked none. And everything was like, man, wasn't his best outing. Skeen wasn't too sharp. He allowed 1 run on 5 hits, struck out 9 and walked nobody. Wasn't his best. He's incredible. I just don't know what else to say. Everything feels like hyperbole, but even hyperbole isn't good enough to describe what that guy is. He's insane. And you feel like every time you hand him the ball, you're going to win. There are not a lot of stressful Friday nights with this baseball team. The rally in Game 2 was pretty incredible. And that really is the story, right? Where you were down 6-1, and then here came the homer parade with Tommy White's homer, Travinski's homer, of course, Jared Jones homered. And candidly, I went to Jazz Fest on Saturday. I went to go watch the Steve Miller Band. And so when I started watching the game, it was when it was 6-1, and LSU was pretty far behind. So I got to sit at a restaurant, eat some dinner, and watch the rally, which was pretty awesome to see, to miss the bad stuff and to see the good stuff. What I missed was Ty Floyd, having to ride in the struggle bus. Went 2 2/3, gave up 6 hits, walked 4, and that's the genesis of all of his problems, right? When you start walking people, you put yourself in a bad spot. So the great news, though, about Saturday is what you saw from Javen Coleman. I'd throw Blake Money in there as well. And then, obviously, Thatcher Hurd. Coleman extended for the first time, 41 pitches, gave you 2 1/3, and threw up zeros, which allowed the offense to get going. Blake Money gave you a 3-up, 3-down inning as well. And then you brought in Thatcher Hurd, who slammed the door over the final inning in 2/3. Trying to figure out what Thatcher Hurd's role is going to be. And I'm not telling you that he's going to be your closer moving forward, but what I will tell you is when Thatcher Hurd goes out there, and faces the minimum, that's incredibly encouraging. The stuff is good enough to where he will strike you out or you will get yourself out if he just doesn't put people on base. Just don't walk and hit guys. Make them swing the bat. And generally, if you're Thatcher Hurd with stuff like that, you're going to have really good success. So he did, and that was phenomenal to see because you've tried him in so many different roles now. And the last couple of times out, it's looked better. So file that away as you continue to move toward the postseason as you're seeing Thatcher Hurd, Javen Coleman continue to pitch better and pitch longer. So Tigers get a win, and we saw what happened on Sunday where it was just wacky and wild and back and forth, and you saw a bunch of runs, and it was very reminiscent of what college baseball used to be in the 90s where you'd see depleted pitching staffs against dominant offenses, and you'd end up with games that looked like it did on Sunday. And LSU wins 13-11. So I'm walking out of the box yesterday, and I tweeted, I'll read you the tweet. Said, today LSU allowed 11 runs on 10 hits, walked 7, hit 3, committed 4 errors, and won 13-11. And I did a little shrug emoji. And I did that very intentionally because I wanted to see how the reactions would come. Because typically you would expect one of two things. Either, man, this team's so resilient they find a way to win, or, man, the pitching stinks, it's not sustainable, thank God for the offense, they're getting no help, blah, blah, blah. And overwhelmingly, it was the latter, not the former. It was people very disappointed with this team and the pitching staff and having to win the way they are. So I did follow it up, and I said, this has been an interesting test case in the fan base of the opinions, and noted that LSU's played 43 games. They're 35-8. Let's say that again slowly. They're 35-8. They're 15-5 in the SEC, which has been a meat grinder. You haven't lost a weekend series all year, and you're the consensus number 1 team in the country. Every single team, this is college baseball, y'all. Every team has warts. This is college baseball. Nobody is flawless. Nobody is perfect. Tennessee was a year ago was as close to perfect as you're going to find, and even they had their flaws, and it cost them in the end. But no team has overcome their flaws better than this LSU team this year. And I keep hearing this from some of you that, well, it's not sustainable. It's going to cost them in the postseason. I want to be very clear. LSU may not win the national championship. Like, the best team doesn't always win. It's baseball. This is a sport where Coastal Carolina's won a national championship, where Mississippi State, who wasn't that good, won a national championship, where Ole Miss last year was literally the last at-large team in the field and got hot behind two pitchers, won a national championship. Fresno State, again, back in 2008, the last team in the field, won a national championship. Like, it's weird. It's baseball. Teams can get hot, play well. You face a pitcher who, has a stomach bug that day or just can't find his location, and you beat it. Like, it's baseball. It happens. Like, good teams lose games. I mean, we've been over the stat a bajillion times. In the current format, only once, 1999, the first year of the super regional format, has the number one national seed won the national title. That was Miami in 1999. It's baseball. A lot of you don't like that explanation, but it's true. There's nothing else to say to you. It's baseball. It happens. So LSU may not win the national championship, but it's not going to be because the way that they win is not sustainable. They've proven it's sustainable. They're 35-8. They're 15-5 in the league. They haven't lost a weekend. It's sustainable. Vanderbilt got swept at Tennessee. South Carolina, who some are saying, maybe they're the best team in the country, just lost a home series to Auburn, who has a losing record in the league. Kentucky, who's got a top 5 RPI, they lost 4 straight weekends. Like, everybody loses weekends. Everybody. All of the teams lose weekends. Except LSU. They just keep winning. Because they're better than everybody else. And I know you keep looking at pitching, y'all. I know. Like, we all have the conversations. We're spoiled rotten by Paul Skeens, and that's the standard by which you judge. And so when Ty Floyd or Christian Little has a bad outing, it's magnified because Skeens is so good, but nobody is Skeens. And no pitching staff in America is flawless, y'all. Tennessee right now leads the SEC with a staff ERA of 3.38. We saw Tennessee in Baton Rouge. Those dudes, they returned their entire staff from a year ago. They don't look the same. Now, Tennessee's coming, all right? They swept Vandy. They just swept another series. Like, they're coming. I get it, okay? South Carolina has one true legit dude at the front of their rotation. They got a 3.55 staff ERA. Vandy, who coming into this season, we might have said was the second best rotation behind Tennessee. Their ERA is bumping up against 4. Florida, with Sproat, Jack Kaggs, and Waldrop, has a staff ERA of 5.06. They got a worse staff ERA than LSU. Y'all, it's college baseball. And regardless of any of the conversation people want to have publicly, the balls are juiced. The bats are rocket launchers again. And we're watching an era of baseball that more resembles what we saw in the 90s. They deadened the bats in the early 2011, when they went to the BB Corps, and they completely took offense out of the game, and now they have started to inject offense back into the game, and it's what it is. We are watching an offensive game of college baseball. It's way more fun to watch. Please give me 13-11 on a Sunday instead of 2-1 where good swings on bad pitches are just fly ball outs. My point is, if you're just, I feel like I have to sit here every Monday and say this, and it's insane that we're talking about the consensus number one team in America, which is 15-5, leading the SEC West, has not lost a weekend all year. You've got guys that are going to go 1-2 in the draft. Literally no deficit has been too big for this team to overcome because they've overcome their largest deficit of the season, and yet some of you still sit here and you're not satisfied. I get the expectation for this team, for this program. It's not just to get to Omaha, it's to win when you're there. But so much of winning when you're there is out of your control. You've got to go play a great 10 days of baseball. But to those who keep saying this isn't sustainable, let me actually paint this picture for you. Okay, can I please just take a second and paint a picture for you? You host a regional. You're the 1 seed at the box. It's a 1-4 game on a Friday. Who are you going to throw in that game? You can throw Christian Little, Blake Money, like literally anybody, because you're going to face a junk baller from the SWAC and you're going to win the game 26-4. Does that sound about right? Muse, you're a baseball guy. Does that sound about right for a 1-4 matchup with this team?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably so. Okay. So you win that game, and then you go to the marble game, and you throw Paul Skeens. Hey, Muse, any worries about Paul Skeens winning a marble game in a regional?
Not really, no.
Yeah, because nobody, whoever wins the 2-3 matchup is going to probably throw their ace. Nobody's number 2 is coming into the box in a marble game of a regional and beating Paul Skeens. Nobody. So then someone's got to come back and beat you. Someone's got to play a third game and then come back and beat you twice, when you likely have Ty Floyd and Thatcher Hurd and Christian Little and whoever you want lined up to try to win a game. LSU hasn't lost back-to-back games all year. You think somebody with a depleted staff is coming to the box and beating LSU back-to-back games? I don't. Maybe you do. So you're going to win your regional. You're going to go to a super regional, which will be at the box. You're going to give the ball to Paul Skeens on a Friday. Hey, Muse, would you favor Paul Skeens on a Friday super regional game?
I would.
Yeah, me too. And so would every other freaking person walking the face of planet Earth. So then somebody's got to come back and do what nobody's been able to do all year, which is beat you in consecutive games. You got to split a Saturday, Sunday, which LSU has done literally every single weekend this year, which is win a weekend. So you go to Omaha, and you're going to play your first game, and you're going to give the ball to Paul Skeens, and you're going to expect Paul Skeens to win it just like I will, and barring something drastically unforeseen, which can happen, you're probably going to win it. We expected Aaron Nola to win his first game in Omaha in 2013. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We know how it all played out, but crazy things happen. It's baseball. So Paul Skeens gets you a win. You go and try to find a way to get a win behind either Ty Floyd. Maybe it's the great Ty Floyd that gave you 8 1/3, or maybe you just piece it together however you can with a giant offense backing you up, and maybe you move to 2-0 in Omaha. If you do that, guess what happens? Somebody's got to come back to beat you twice. Play another game, then come back and beat you twice to get into the championship series. I'm going to put my money that LSU is able to win one of those and go into the championship series. Now you're in the same scenario that you've been in all weekend or all year. Can you go win a weekend? Can you win 2 out of 3? And you give Paul Skeens in game 1 most likely again, and then someone's got to beat you twice, which nobody's been able to do consecutive days all year this year. So is it sustainable? You're damn right it's sustainable. Look at how it's set up. LSU's built to do it. Now, they have to go do it. I'm not telling you definitively they're going to. I'm not telling you there's no shot they lose. I'm not speaking in absolutes. It's college baseball. We see this transpire every year. But if LSU loses somewhere in the postseason, it's not going to be because they're this massively flawed team. It's going to be because they had a bad day and someone had a really good day. And I just don't see LSU stacking multiple bad days. They haven't done it yet through a large sample size. So please, for the love of God, stop with all of the nonsense about, well, it's just not sustainable. This team can't do it. There's going to cost them. Like, you want to be, like, just overwhelmed with negativity? Fine. Go live in a hut somewhere and leave the rest of us alone who are really enjoying the hell out of watching the consensus number 1 team in the country, who's been number 1 so far wire to wire, who's going to have the first 2 picks in the draft, which has never happened before. Dylan Cruz, who's about to freaking hit 500 on the season. You literally have teams making a decision to walk Dylan Cruz to get to Tommy White. It's insanity what we're watching, and so many of you can't even appreciate it because you're so worried about what might happen in the postseason. Damn. Oh, it's not sustainable. Go ask Florida fans how they feel about their pitching. Some of y'all don't even pay attention, bro. I'm so late. I got a break. Set me off. All right. Muse, what's going to happen if they lose to Southeastern tomorrow? Oh, my God. Another midweek. Please.
That'd be 3 in a row.
Another midweek game.
That'd be 3 in a row.
It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebond. Dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV, tonight and every Monday, all-you-can-eat wings. My goodness gracious. By God, that's Pluckers music. Go buy Pluckers. Shut up. Go buy either Pluckers location. Eat all the wings you want tonight and every Monday for one low price. You want to watch NBA playoffs? They got it on the tube for you. You want to watch some Major League Baseball? Every single team, every single game, all year long at Pluckers. By the way, Joel Embiid out for game 1 against the Celtics with a knee injury. That game's a 6:30 tip. You want to watch it at Pluckers, you can. Phoenix and Denver tonight, game 2. You can watch it at Pluckers. Either location. Nicholson just south of campus. Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Dine in, carry out, or delivery via Uber Eats or DoorDash. Pluckers, a top 10 wing restaurant in America by USA Today, top 5 sports bar by ESPN. It's Pluckers. You don't like our wings. We'll give you the bird.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Home in Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down the
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Our NFL draft came and went. 6 LSU Tigers heard their names called. There's a couple of surprises, a couple of spots I like. So B.J. Ojulari went in round 2, 41st overall to Arizona. It was a situation where maybe if the right situation had presented itself, a team fell in love with him, he could have bumped into round 1. But he is sort of a specific player, right? Is that more 3-4 stand-up outside linebacker. He's not a hand-in-the-dirt type 4-3 edge. So it had to be the right situation, and Ojulari goes to Arizona at 41 overall. I think the biggest question, we all knew Ojulari was going to be the first Tiger off the board. The big question was going to be who is next. And my thought going in would have been Jaquelin Roy. Roy ended up having the best pre-draft process. He had a great combine. He tested well. You started to see him in a lot of mock drafts really start to boom. But in the end, it was Anthony Bradford who went next, followed by Jay Ward and then Jaquelin Roy. Bradford, for me, Bradford kind of benefited by the run starting, the run that the New Orleans Saints started. When the Saints traded up to the first pick of round 4 and took Nick Saldiveri, that started the run on interior linemen. 6 of the next 19 picks were offensive guards after the Saints took Saldiveri. So the run started, and teams that needed interior linemen pulled the trigger, and so Seattle took Anthony Bradford. Bradford, for me, is going to be, I don't want to be cliche and say a boom or bust prospect, but you look at Bradford, who was, I think part of our opinion of Anthony Bradford is molded by the comments Ed Ogeron made prior to the 2021 season when he said Bradford was the best offensive lineman on the team. And we saw Bradford play a lot of different positions at LSU. We saw him play right guard. We saw him play left tackle. We saw him play right guard. We saw him play all over during his seasons in Baton Rouge. He made 12 starts this past year. 11 of them were at right guard, and he started one time at left tackle. But 17 career starts, and he moved all over the line. But Bradford is, I think, one thing where he got a little bit exposed was on the outside. He's going to be an interior player because he's not going to move his feet quickly enough to play tackle at the next level. So can he establish himself as a starter on the interior of an offensive line? We'll be curious to watch if he can develop that level of consistency. Jay Ward is the guy for me that of everyone in this draft class, if you said, okay, of the 6 Tigers that were drafted, who has the longest career? I would tell you Jay Ward. That's where my money would be. Because not only does he play a position where you can be durable, but it's Jay Ward's versatility. From the time he got here in 2019 to the amazing job he did on the outside and playing nickel in 2020 in that COVID year. Everybody remembers the acrobatic interception he made against Florida on the sideline. To when this team was in desperate need of safety help in 2021, he went back and started at safety for LSU in 11 games. And then this past year in 2022, when you brought in Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché and Major Burns was back, we saw Ward just go back to that versatile nickel, dime, safety, corner. He played everywhere. I mean, he is, to me, what P.J. Williams has been to the New Orleans Saints. A guy that you drafted as a cornerback, but has played everywhere in the secondary and on special teams. I think Jay Ward's versatility makes him a guy that sticks around the NFL for a very long time. In round 4, the Vikings getting Jay Ward in round 4 feels like a steal, especially knowing Durante Jones is there, who knows the player. And I think that's a phenomenal pickup for Minnesota, who also took Jaquelin Roy in round 5. That's the one where I thought he would have gone higher because of how a lot of the pre-draft hype went. But look, Roy was one of those guys who was a top 100 overall prospect when he signed with LSU out of U-High. Didn't really get to be a part of the rotation the first couple of years in Baton Rouge. And then this past year, really, as we know, LSU kind of had a 3-man rotation at defensive tackle, and he showed how durable he was. Started 12 of the 13 games this past year, had a career year with 49 tackles, and then made the most of his pre-draft process. And maybe the best part about Roy is the fact that because he didn't really become a key part of the rotation until year 3, he's not a guy that's been just completely beaten up through war in the trenches in the SEC over 4 or 5 years. So Jaquelin Roy goes up to Minnesota as well. And then the one we were all kind of wondering what would happen was Kayshon Boutte, who lasts all the way into round 6 at number 187 overall. It was interesting to me to hear a lot of the draft nicks say that they were surprised that the Patriots didn't get help for Mac Jones. How do you ignore Kayshon Boutte in round 6? I mean, there is not a single draft prospect list, ranking service, or mock draft before this season started. Not a single one that had Kayshon Boutte outside of round 1. The only question was if Kayshon was the number 1 receiver, or if Jordan Addison was the number 1 receiver, or Jackson Smith and Jigba. It was like, depending on which mock draft you looked at, which ranking service you looked at, had one of those 3 guys the best receiver, but they were all consensus first-round draft picks. And when he is at his best, that is undeniable, an undeniable game breaker. My question, which I know is the question a lot of NFL teams have as well, is if Kayshon Boutte is healthy. And I don't know if he is. My guess is the reason he lasted until round 6 is that. The reason he ran the 40 time he did and didn't really show the explosiveness he did in 2022 that he had prior is I don't know if he's ever come back fully healthy from the ankle injury. I don't know that. It's me speculating. But that would make a lot of sense as to why he dropped. I know there's all the bad body language stuff that fans talk about, but for me, that's evidence of fans convincing themselves of a narrative, and then anytime you see anything that would support that, you double down on it. You ignore everything else. Like, you ignore Kayshawn being the first guy to congratulate his teammates when they score. You ignore whenever he's actually being engaged or making good plays. You just double down on the thing that supports your narrative. I'm not saying like you specifically if you're listening right now, but that's like a universal thing that people do sometimes. And I think that's what happened with Kayshawn. But the injury thing is what I think is legitimate. And if he can find a way to get completely healed and ready to, I mean, this guy had multiple ankle surgeries. Like, he had a fracture with dislocation. That is not an easy thing to come back from if you're an explosive athlete. So if Kayshawn can come back healthy from that, I think that's one where you look back years from now and go, how the hell did Kayshawn Boutte go in round 6? But, again, that's an if he can get healthy. And then we saw Jark Bernard-Converse also go in round 6 to the Jets. Wasn't even invited to the Combine. Had the monster pro day performance. And a guy who played a ton of football over 5 years. 4 at Oklahoma State. Used the COVID year to play at LSU. Proved he belonged in the SEC. And is a guy who should make that team in New York with the Jets. So, 6 Tigers drafted. And then you had Ollie Gay, Mike Jones, Jure Jenkins, Micah Baskerville, Colby Richardson, Mekhi Garner, all signed undrafted free agent deals. I would say there's one that I've been asked about a bunch and one that I think I'm surprised didn't get drafted. The one that I've been asked about a bunch is Ollie Gay. People say, what happened with Ollie Gay? And if you listen to this show, you know my answer. It's the medical. It is the answer. It's why the combine, like the medical at the combine, is what matters so much. And when Ollie Gay decided to come back in 21 and missed the whole season, and then or the majority of the season, and then came back this year for a 5th season and didn't produce, you put a guy like that through the medical, through the ringer to see if he's healthy. And when you see a guy with that physical skill set go undrafted, that tells you the answer. There are no character concerns with Ollie Gay. Great dude, great family, smart player, good player, certainly a prospect that's learning and developing. But the injury history has got to be a concern, and that's very likely why he went undrafted. You wish him well, and you hope he can stay healthy. The one that went undrafted that was the biggest surprise to me was Jure Jenkins. Jure isn't a very vocal player, but he is a big, fast, physical, athletic dude who produced at LSU. 6'2", 200 pounds, started for 3 years, 43 games played, 20 starts, selfless, willing to play special teams as well. Jure is a guy that I thought for certain somebody would look at in round 6 or 7 and say, I'm drafting that guy because I don't want to risk not signing him as an undrafted free agent. In the end, he ends up in Jacksonville, where I think he'll make that team. And I would be very surprised if he didn't. To all the other guys, I think Mekhi Garner and Philly. Look, look at Philly's defense. I mean, they drafted Keely Ringo in like round 5, with 4 or 5. I mean, it's going to be hard to make that team. Colby Richardson, you certainly wish him well. Micah Baskerville going to Chicago is interesting. I love Micah Baskerville. Size, I think, is a legit concern when you look at a linebacker at the next level. Mike Jones going to the Falcons. Fit matters for what he does. He's not going to be an inside backer. Can he find a role as an athletic overhang linebacker in Atlanta? Maybe. We'll see. But Jure, I think, of all the guys that went undrafted that I thought for certain would get drafted, it would be the one. And I think Jacksonville got themselves a heck of a deal, being able to pick Jure Jenkins as an undrafted free agent. So congrats to the guys that were drafted, and good luck to all of them as they go try to make the next stage in life what it is. All right, y'all. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, online, theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. Love telling you about the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, where every month, of course, they have new specials coming up on Mother's Day. Y'all know that. May is the month for mom, so make sure that you get by, see our friends over at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. A gift card for mom could be a great option if you want to, maybe something that we talked about like with Vaser Lipo, that's on special this month. Could be great before you head to the beach. New patient specials, $100 off lip filler. They got discounted wrinkle relaxant as well, and $250 off their laser package. Some great packages all this month at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com. All right, man, been a good show. Appreciate y'all for being there. We've had a lot to talk about today with the draft, and obviously with from an LSU and Saints perspective, with LSU sweeping over the weekend, transfer portal window closing a ton. It's all there on demand. If you miss anything, you can check it out. If you've not done so yet, please go subscribe up to all of our stations' YouTube channels. Like there's AFR channels, Off the Bench channels, Hunt Palmer Show channel. So strongly encourage, man. You want our content in sort of bite-size short-form video. You can get it all there at the YouTube channel. So we appreciate you and encourage you to go subscribe up to all the channels there as well. All right, quick break. Come back. One thing we have not touched on yet, Saints trading Adam Troutman and having a real need at tight end. We're talking about it next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. You go to Rouse's.com. You can always check out the Rouse's Facebook page as well. They always post their weekly specials and their weekly ad at the Facebook page, so you can get there and check it out. Go to Rouse's.com. Hey, look, remember also, if you want to check the discounts, you can shop in-store and online at Rouse's.com and see all that they have to offer. Just go to Rouse's.com and you'll see the big promo page right there for what they have discounted. It's available to you at Rouse's.com. Delivery and pickup options, so if you can't get to Rouse's, they'll deliver. And if you don't want to come in, remember your personal shopper will go pick out your item. Just go to the Rouse's app, choose the pickup option. You pull up into the spot. They bring out your items to you at Rouse's. They make it convenient. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints with more than 60 locations along the Gulf South. It's at Rouse's. This feels like home.
There it is, the extra mile on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Turn my music high, 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 high. Yeah.
You don't know what you're doing.
Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you can run the slalom. The cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clash and chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get him now before they go back on back order. Front to back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Going into the draft, many looked at one of the Saints' biggest needs being tight end. Of course, they signed Juwan Johnson to a 2-year extension. Adam Troutman entering the final year of his rookie contract, who just hadn't been a great contributor. We knew the Saints were in the tight end market. They brought in Foster Moreau to New Orleans for a workout, which, as we know, that's when they found the lymphoma and diagnosed him with lymphoma. So we know the Saints had a tight end need. And the draft came and went, and not only did they not draft a tight end, the Saints lost one of their tight ends. As we saw, day 3, the Saints traded Adam Troutman to Denver. Troutman and a 7th-round pick to the Denver Broncos for a 6th-round selection that the Saints would use on wide receiver A.T. Perry out of Wake Forest, which is a pick, by the way, just as an aside, that I love. A.T. Perry, almost 6'4", 200 pounds, 4.47 40, was the best receiver on those Wake Forest offense with Sam Hartman pulling the trigger. That was a wide-open offense, back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons. I love A.T. Perry. I think it's an amazing pick. So you give up a 7th-round pick and Adam Troutman, who was not performing for you, for A.T. Perry, I'll take that deal. I think that's a total win. And for Troutman, maybe this is an opportunity for him to kind of push the reset button. So Troutman did give an interview with Mike Kliss of 9news.com and asked about the trade. Troutman said he requested the trade. He said, quote, "I was actually kind of hoping to get moved. This was initiated by me personally. I've been waiting for a little bit for something to materialize, and it just happened to be the Broncos, obviously." So Troutman goes to Denver, joining Sean Payton, who was the coach of the Saints who drafted him in his second season in the league. Troutman caught 27 balls for 263 yards and a couple of scores in just 13 games. That was with Sean Payton calling plays. This past year, Troutman's production decreased. They primarily used him as a blocker, and Juwan Johnson became the pass-catching tight end. So when they drafted Troutman in round 3, the hope was, as they have been looking for ever since the Jimmy Graham trade, for the next Jimmy Graham. And you all know the names. They signed Kobe Fleener in free agency. That didn't work out. They brought an aging Ben Watson back, who was productive, but it didn't really work out as it had when he was younger. Jared Cook obviously had its high points and low points, but everyone will always just remember his last game in a Saints uniform, which ended up being Drew Brees' last game in a Saints uniform. They drafted Adam Troutman in round 3. They just have not been able to find that guy, that pass-catching tight end. Maybe they have it now with Juwan Johnson, a big converted wide receiver. But so it's not surprising that they would trade Troutman, considering they extended Juwan Johnson and Troutman's production and opportunities haven't been very good. He just never materialized in New Orleans, so you were able to get something for him. Great. The only surprise is that they didn't draft a tight end, is that they didn't try to fill that void. So when you look at your tight end options right now in New Orleans, you've got Juwan Johnson in place, but outside of that, you're short on options. You've got Lucas Krull, who they signed a year ago as an undrafted free agent out of Pitt. He didn't play this past year. after Krull, you've also got Miller Forrestall, who's an undrafted free agent, member out of Alabama. So you got a couple of other guys who are undrafted free agents. You signed Joel Wilson, who's an undrafted free agent this year out of Central Michigan. He was a guy who could have returned to school, elected to turn pro. He's a big pass-catching tight end, played at a smaller school. Central Michigan, of course, coached by Jim McElwain, former Florida coach. So sort of an innovative offensive system there with McElwain, who knows how to use the tight end as he did when he was at Florida as well. The real problem you have if you're New Orleans and you're looking at, okay, where might I be able to find tight end help? You're not going to get it in this free agent class. Here's your available tight ends. Maybe most notable is 31-year-old Cameron Brate. Now, you know the player because he was in Tampa and he's been a very good pass-catching tight end, but it's safe to assume Cameron Brate is nearer the end of his career than he is the beginning of his career. After Brate, you've also got Jeff Swaim, Dan Arnold, Mercedes Lewis, Sethan Carter, Adam Shaheen, Ryan Griffin, Kyle Rudolph, who's now 33 and just came off a terrible season in Tampa, Eric Tomlinson, Tyler Croft, Steven Anderson, Anthony Ferkser, Richard Rogers, Jesse James, Max Williams, Michael Pruitt, Ian Bunting, Foster Moreau, Eli Wolf, Tommy Sweeney, Mitchell Wilcox. That's the list. I feel like the construction workers in Major League when they're like, who are these guys? You know, that's how I feel when I look at this list. Honestly, your best bet, and this isn't just like home cooking, homerism, whatever. Your best bet is Foster Moreau gets healthy, which, of course, we're all praying for that just from a life perspective, which is so much more important than football. But if we're just eliminating that and talking about just football, Foster Moreau is your best bet. It's Foster Moreau or 31-year-old Cameron Brate. And honestly, I don't know that Brate at 31 or any point of his career was really good all-around tight end. He was a very good pass-catching tight end. Foster Moreau could be the guy that you look for that could be the inline blocker and also the pass catcher to complement Juwan Johnson. So that, or you hope you hit on Joel Wilson as an undrafted free agent, or a guy like Lucas Krull or Miller Forrestall has a big boom in year 2, or you go make a trade for a tight end somewhere. But what assets do you have to give? That's the other tough part right now. So Adam Troutman out. That doesn't surprise me. The general lack of options at tight end does surprise me for the New Orleans Saints. Okay. We'll knock out our final break of the show. Love telling you about Mold Zero USA. Mold-Zero-USA.com. Y'all got to tell you. Woke up Saturday morning, heard running water. Suffice to say, there was a sink that was left running all night in the laundry room. There was a big mess in the Skeen household Saturday morning. Got it cleaned up, and very likely going to have Jim and Mold Zero coming over to the house this week just to make sure that we are all ship-shape. You need remediation work. You got mold or think you might have mold, call Mold Zero. They'll save you time. They'll save you money. Save you thousands of dollars with their patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. It's Mold Zero USA. Mold-Zero-USA.com. Mold-Zero-USA.com. They got a 225 and a 504 number, but they service all of South Louisiana. If you have mold or think you might, call Mold Zero USA. Mold-Zero-USA.com. All right, y'all. Been a really good show. We're wrapping up. Got Otter locks coming up. Jimmy will tell us what we're betting on tonight. Got a couple of NBA games, probably some baseball action as well. One thing to do is find out what we're betting on tonight. We'll do that next on AFR.
AFR.
Well, we finally saw temperatures creep up into the 80s. Actually, as a matter of fact, today the high was 82. It's not too late, y'all. It's not too late to call River City's 1 Hour Air and have them come do that preseason AC tune-up. Call 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. You can't miss it. You can't, trust me. You see big old yellow vans driving all over town, you can't miss them. That's River City's 1 Hour Air. They have expertly trained technicians. They'll come to your house. They'll treat you right. They'll always give you a fair price. They'll never pressure you into doing anything. They'll give you your good, better, best options for whatever repair work may need to be done. And they'll always save you $25 on any system repair when you mention the Moscona special. It's at River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, Relief Windows, and reliefwindows.com. One thing left to do. Find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable of an incomprehensible, the Ottfather himself, Jimmy Otter. How are you?
Doing good, man. I just wanted to say it's the first time we spoke since the draft party. Man, shout out to our folks over at Don Juan Cigar Shop with the hospitality, man. We had a good time over there with the dual broadcast on Thursday.
Yeah, man. They're the best. They love hosting us, and we love being there. It's a great fit, and we appreciate everybody who came out as well. It was a great time.
All right, here we go, Matt. First game with Philly and Boston, the series we've been waiting for, and the beat that just keeps on going this year in the NBA regular season. Now postseason injuries. Joel Embiid officially out for this one. You know, it was hovering around 7 over the weekend. The odds makers were kind of covering their tail. Went up to 10. Would have gone down to about 4.5 if he was playing. But it's a lot. It's a game I cannot mess with. But I love the late one out in Denver. And, you know, a little lack of respect for the Denver Nuggets, you know, making them a dog in this series. But Kevin Durant and Booker, they get a lot of love, the market share, and, well, they made him a favorite and a slight underdog in the first game. 4 points. Denver blows them out. I'm looking for much of the same, especially at Denver. They're getting into the bench. Phoenix is very, very short. KD and Booker are having to play 40-plus minutes, and they're wearing out in that altitude deep into the game. So I'll look for much the same. I like the way Denver did not take their foot off the gas first round in the same situation, up 1-0 against Minnesota, blew them out in that one too. So I love that. It's my favorite series because Phoenix was just very fortunate that Kawhi Leonard went down with that injury. Even without Kawhi, they only covered 2 of the 5 games.
1 minute remaining.
So 2-4 in the postseason. Denver's my favorite trick tonight. 2 games in Major League Baseball. First, this one's going at 10 minutes in Fenway Park. It's been a rough going for Corey Kluber so far this year. And Jose Barrios has not been great either, but he's coming off of his best outing. 7 innings of no-hit balls, struck out 9, only walked 1. Laying a run and a half on the road. That potent lineup. Toronto minus 1.5 plus 100 at everywhere, including Bet Rivers. And then the Phillies. Phillies, after that rough start, quietly have won their last 4 series. They're plus 40 on the road tonight in Dodger Stadium against a team that's barely over 500. Phillies plus 140.
Where are you, Otter?
Walk-ons in Bruley on the West Bank, Steve.
Y'all get on by and see the Otter there on the West Bank. Thank you, Otter.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, Game Time follows us. Muse, Paulie, we appreciate you. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge online, southpointvw.com. What I have, the situation I've described to you many times actually happened on Friday. Got a text from a brother-in-law taking my niece. Shout out, Reese Anderman. She'll be embarrassed that I said her name on air, but I don't care. Took her by South Point Volkswagen. She's going to be getting her driver's license and getting her first car, and they want to make sure they have her in something that's safe but also affordable and something she'll love to drive. So they went and test drove the Taos on Friday over at South Point Volkswagen. If it's your first vehicle, if it's your family vehicle, if it's your fun weekend vehicle, South Point Volkswagen has something for every driver. But the difference is the great German engineering. You get the great German engineering without the cost. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer is South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.